In the quiet dawn of human history, before the rise of mighty empires and the spread of languages that would shape the world, there was a people. They lived in a time so ancient, so distant, that their faces are lost to the fog of ages. Yet, they were real. They breathed, loved, fought, and dreamed just as we do today. They were the Pre-Proto-Indo-Europeans, and their story is one of whispers carried by the wind across vast plains, of families gathering around firelight, sharing tales of gods and ancestors, and of the unbreakable bond between land, sky, and spirit. These people lived in a world that was both harsh and beautiful. The earth was their mother, providing them with everything they needed to survive. Vast grasslands stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with the occasional forest or river. The seasons ruled their lives, with the cold bite of winter driving them to seek shelter and warmth, while the gentle embrace of spring brought new life and hope. In their small, close-knit communities, life was a constant balance between survival and the ever-present awareness of something greater. The sky above was not just a canopy of stars, but a living presence. The sun, the moon, the stars, they weren't just distant objects. They were the eyes of the gods, watching over them, guiding them, and sometimes, testing them. Migration was not just a choice, it was a necessity. The earth beneath their feet was fertile, but it was also unpredictable. Rivers would change course, the soil would dry out, and game would move on, forcing these early people to follow. They moved with the seasons, like the animals they hunted, always seeking the best lands to sustain their families. Each migration was a step into the unknown, a path that would lead them to new challenges, new lands, and new gods. But migration was more than a physical journey. With each step, they carried with them the memories of their ancestors, the songs of their people, and the stories of their gods. The land they left behind was not forgotten, but rather, it became a sacred place, a memory etched into their hearts. The rivers they crossed, the mountains they climbed, the forests they passed through, all became part of their spiritual landscape, connecting them to their past, even as they moved forward into an uncertain future. Their culture was rich, woven together by threads of tradition, belief, and shared experience. Every aspect of their lives was infused with meaning. The hunt was not just a way to gather food, but a sacred act, a dance between man and beast that required skill, respect, and a deep understanding of the natural world. The harvest was a time of celebration, a moment to give thanks to the earth and the gods for their generosity. Birth, marriage, death, each was marked by rituals that bound the community together, connecting them to the cycles of nature and the will of the gods. In their world, everything was connected. The earth and sky, the living and the dead, the past and the future, they were all part of a grand tapestry, woven by the gods and watched over by the spirits of their ancestors. This belief was the heartbeat of their culture, a rhythm that pulsed through every aspect of their lives. It was this connection that gave them strength, that helped them endure the hardships of their world, and that guided them on their migrations across the vast, untamed lands they called home. As they moved from place to place, they encountered other peoples, other cultures, and other gods. These encounters were not always peaceful. There were battles, conflicts over land and resources, clashes of belief and tradition. But there were also moments of exchange, of learning, of blending cultures. These encounters shaped them, adding new threads to the tapestry of their culture, new stories to their mythology, and new gods to their pantheon. Yet, despite these changes, they remained true to their roots. Their gods, their ancestors, their connection to the land, these were the constants in their ever-changing world. They knew that they were part of something larger than themselves, something ancient and powerful. It was this knowledge that sustained them, that gave them the courage to face the unknown, and that kept their culture alive, even as they moved across new lands and encountered new challenges. The land they walked upon was sacred. Every river, mountain, and tree held a spirit, a presence that had to be respected. They believed that the earth was alive, that it was a living being with its own will, its own desires. This belief shaped their relationship with the natural world. They took only what they needed, always careful to give thanks to the earth and the gods for their bounty. They knew that to take too much, to disrespect the land, would bring disaster, not just for themselves, but for their children and their children's children. Their world was one of constant movement, of change and adaptation. But it was also a world of continuity, of tradition, and of a deep, unshakable connection to the land, the sky, and the spirits that inhabited both. It was this connection that defined them, that set them apart, and that gave them the strength to endure the challenges of their world. They were not just wanderers, not just survivors. They were the keepers of ancient wisdom, the guardians of a culture that would one day give rise to the great civilizations of the Indo-European world. Their story is not just a story of the past, but a story of all of us, of our shared heritage, of the roots that connect us to the ancient, forgotten world of the Pre-Proto-Indo-Europeans. And as they moved across the land, carrying their traditions, their beliefs, and their stories with them, they laid the foundations for the cultures, the languages, and the gods that would shape the world for millennia to come. Their journey was not just a physical one, but a journey through time, a journey that would echo through the ages, and the myths and legends of the Indo-European peoples who would one day inherit their world. In the silence of the ancient world, where words carried the weight of the unseen, there was a power in language that went beyond mere communication. For the Pre-Proto-Indo-Europeans, language was a thread that wove together the fabric of their existence. Every word, every sound was more than a means to express thoughts. It was a bridge to the gods, a way to connect with the forces that shaped their lives. Their language was alive, breathing with the same life that flowed through their veins, and it was through this language that their myths, their gods, and their very identity were born. When they spoke, it wasn't just to communicate with each other. Their words were filled with the echoes of the past, of ancestors long gone but never forgotten. The stories they told around the fire, under the endless sky, were more than just tales, they were sacred. These stories were passed down from generation to generation, carried by the rhythm of their language, preserved in the hearts of their people. Through these stories, they understood the world around them, the forces of nature, and the gods who ruled them all. Their language was not just spoken, it was sung, chanted, and whispered in rituals that bound the community together. In these rituals, words became magic, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary, connecting the people to the gods. A single word could summon a spirit, protect a loved one, or bring rain to parched fields. Their language had power because it was more than just a way to describe the world, it was a way to shape it. The myths they created were not mere fiction. They were the truth, wrapped in the colors of the imagination. These myths explained the mysteries of the world, from the changing seasons to the cycles of life and death. They told of gods who walked the earth, who loved and fought just as humans did, but who also held the power to control the elements, to give life, and to take it away. These stories were their guide, their map to navigating the challenges of life, and they were as real to them as the ground beneath their feet. Language, culture, and mythology were intertwined in a way that cannot be separated. Their culture was shaped by the words they spoke, by the stories they told. The very act of speaking their language was a way of participating in the divine, of connecting with the gods and the forces of nature. Their words gave form to their beliefs, their fears, and their hopes, turning the intangible into something real, something they could hold on to in a world full of uncertainty. The gods themselves were born from language. Each name spoken with reverence, each title given with care, was a way of giving life to the divine. A god's name was not just a label, it was a description of their power, their domain, and their place in the world. To speak a god's name was to invoke their presence, to call upon their aid, or to feel their wrath. The stories of the gods were not just entertainment, they were lessons, warnings, and prayers all wrapped in the beauty of language. These gods lived within their words, and through their language, the people could interact with the divine. They could plead with the storm god to spare their crops, thank the earth goddess for a bountiful harvest, or ask the god of the hunt for a successful chase. Their prayers were not just words thrown into the wind, they were carefully crafted, filled with meaning and purpose, each word chosen for its power, its connection to the divine. Even the simplest of phrases held the weight of tradition, of belief. A blessing given to a child was not just well-wishing, it was a protection, a hope, a link to the gods who watched over them all. A curse was not just an expression of anger, it was a call to the gods to enact justice, to bring down their power on those who had wronged them. Language was the medium through which the will of the gods was expressed, and through which the people could try to influence the world around them. Their language was not static, it was a living, breathing thing, constantly evolving as they moved, as they encountered new lands, new challenges, and new peoples. But even as the words changed, the core of their language remained the same. The myths, the stories, the names of the gods, these were the constants, the unchanging pillars of their culture. No matter where they went, no matter how their language evolved, these elements stayed with them, carried in their hearts, spoken on their lips. As their language spread, as it evolved into the many tongues that would later dominate much of the world, the myths and the gods evolved with it. But the roots of those myths, the origins of those gods, remained tied to that ancient language, to those first words spoken around the fire, under the stars. In those words, the essence of the Pre-Proto-Indo-Europeans lived on, shaping the beliefs, the cultures, and the languages of countless generations to come. And so, in every word, and every story, there was a connection to the past, to the ancestors who had walked the earth before them, to the gods who watched over them. Their language was a thread that connected them to the divine, to each other, and to the world around them. It was through this language that they made sense of the world, that they found their place in it, and that they connected with the unseen forces that shaped their lives. In the end, their language was more than just a way to communicate. It was the very essence of their being, the soul of their culture, the heartbeat of their mythology. It was through language that they lived, that they loved, that they worshipped, and that they passed on their knowledge, their beliefs, and their stories to the generations that would follow. Their language was their legacy, a legacy that would echo through the ages, and the myths and stories of the Indo-European peoples who would one day inherit their world. Before there was land, before the sky stretched wide, and before the first heartbeat echoed through the earth, there was only darkness, a vast, endless void where nothing lived and nothing died. In this emptiness, there was no time, no space, only silence. But within this silence, something stirred, something ancient and powerful, something waiting to be born. In the beginning, there was a primal force, a presence that existed long before the world took shape. It was not a god as we know them, but the source from which all things would come. This force was neither light nor dark, neither male nor female, it was everything in nothing, a boundless energy that held within it the potential for all creation. And then, in the heart of the void, a spark appeared. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it carried within it the seed of all that would be. This spark grew, feeding on the energy of the primal force, growing brighter and stronger until it could no longer be contained. With a mighty burst, the spark exploded, and from it, the first light was born, banishing the darkness and giving birth to the world. The light spread across the void, filling it with warmth and color, and as it did, it began to take shape. From the light came the sky, vast and endless, stretching over the earth like a protective blanket. The earth itself rose from the void, solid and strong, fertile and full of promise. The mountains pushed their way up from the ground, reaching for the sky, while the rivers carved their paths through the land, bringing life wherever they flowed. But the world was still young, still raw and unfinished. The primal force, now split into the elements of light and earth, had one more act of creation left. From the earth, the first beings were born. They were not humans, not yet, but they were the ancestors of all that would come. These beings were the gods, the first children of the primal force, born from the union of light and earth. The gods were mighty and wise, each one embodying a different aspect of the world. There was the god of the sky, who ruled over the heavens and controlled the winds. There was the earth goddess, who nurtured the land and made it fertile. There was the god of fire, who brought warmth and light, and the goddess of water, who gave life to all things. These gods were not just rulers, they were the world itself, their very beings woven into the fabric of creation. But the gods were not alone in this new world. From the same spark that had birthed them, other beings arose, beings of darkness and chaos. These were the forces of destruction, the opposites of the gods, who sought to undo all that had been created. They were the storms that ravaged the land, the earthquakes that shattered the earth, the floods that drowned the fields. They were the necessary balance, the forces that kept the world in check, ensuring that life and death, creation and destruction, would always coexist. The gods and these chaotic forces clashed, their battles shaking the very foundations of the earth. The sky god fought the storm, pushing back the dark clouds and bringing sunlight to the world. The earth goddess soothed the quakes, calming the ground beneath her feet. The fire god battled the cold, ensuring that warmth would always return after the winter's chill. And the water goddess tamed the floods, guiding the rivers back to their beds and ensuring that life would continue to thrive. From these battles, the world took its final shape. The mountains stood tall and unyielding, the rivers flowed with purpose, the forests grew thick and green, and the oceans teemed with life. The gods, having secured their place in this new world, turned their attention to the earth, and with a tender hand, they created the first humans. The first humans were made from the same earth that had given birth to the gods. The sky god breathed life into them, giving them the breath of the wind. The earth goddess shaped their bodies, strong and sturdy, able to withstand the trials of life. The fire god gave them warmth, a burning spirit that would drive them forward, and the water goddess gave them blood, the life force that would flow through their veins. These humans were not mere mortals. They were the children of the gods, born from the same primal force that had created the world. They were connected to the earth, to the sky, to the fire, and to the water in a way that modern humans can only dream of. They lived in harmony with the world, understanding its rhythms, its cycles, its beauty, and its danger. They knew that they were a part of something greater, something ancient and powerful, something that would continue long after they were gone. And so, the first humans began to live, to grow, to create their own stories, their own myths. They passed these stories down to their children, who passed them down to theirs, and so on, until these myths became the foundation of their culture, the bedrock of their beliefs. They told of the gods who had created the world, who had fought to protect it, who had given life to the first humans. These stories were sacred, a reminder of where they came from, of the forces that shaped their world, and of their place within it. The creation myth was not just a story, it was a living truth, a connection to the past, a guide for the present, and a hope for the future. It was a reminder that the world was not just a random collection of elements, but a carefully crafted masterpiece, created by forces beyond understanding, yet deeply intertwined with the lives of all who lived within it. The world was born from darkness, shaped by light, and filled with life by the hands of the gods. And in every breath, and every heartbeat, and every step taken on the earth, there was a piece of that creation, a spark of the divine, a reminder that all life, all existence, was connected, bound together by the ancient, powerful force that had given birth to the world, and to all who called it home. In the heart of the ancient world, where the earth touched the sky and the stars whispered the secrets of the universe, there stood a tree unlike any other. It wasn't just a tree, it was the very axis of existence, the connection between heaven and earth, the living embodiment of all that was, all that is, and all that would ever be. Its roots dug deep into the underworld, its branches reached high into the heavens, and its trunk held the world together, a bridge between the realms of gods and men. To the people who looked upon this tree, it was more than a symbol, it was life itself. Every leaf that rustled in the wind, every fruit that grew from its branches, every root that twisted through the soil was a testament to the interconnectedness of all things. The tree was sacred, revered, and feared, for it was the source of all life, the heart of the cosmos, the center of their universe. In their stories, this tree was known by many names, each one capturing a different aspect of its power. It was the cosmic tree, the world tree, the tree of life, and more, but its essence remained the same. It was the axis mundi, the point around which the world revolved, the place where all things began and where all things would one day return. The roots of this tree reached deep into the earth, into the dark, hidden places where the dead rested and the seeds of new life waited to sprout. These roots were strong, unyielding, anchoring the tree in place, giving it the stability it needed to hold up the world. But they were also a reminder of the connection between life and death, for just as the tree grew from the earth, so too would it one day return to the earth, its life cycle mirroring the cycle of all living things. The trunk of the tree was mighty, thick, and strong, a pillar that held up the sky. It was the connection between the earth and the heavens, the bridge that allowed the gods to descend to the world of men and for men to ascend to the realm of the gods. It was through this trunk that the energy of the cosmos flowed, from the depths of the underworld to the highest reaches of the heavens. The trunk was the spine of the world, the support that kept everything in balance, the path that connected all the realms of existence. The branches of the tree spread wide, reaching out to touch the sky, to caress the clouds, to hold the stars in their embrace. These branches were the pathways to the divine, the routes that the gods traveled when they visited the earth, the roads that the souls of the dead took when they ascended to the heavens. The leaves on these branches whispered the words of the gods, the secrets of the universe, the wisdom of the ages. They were the connection between the physical world and the spiritual, a reminder that the two were never truly separate. At the top of the tree, where the highest branches touched the sky, was the realm of the gods. This was a place of light, of power, of divine energy. It was a place where the gods sat in council, where they watched over the world, where they determined the fate of men. But this realm was not unreachable, for the tree provided a way for the worthy to ascend, to join the gods in their realm, to gain their favor, to understand the mysteries of the universe. But the tree was not just a symbol of life and connection, it was also a symbol of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Just as the tree grew from a seed, so too would it one day return to the earth, its wood rotting, its leaves falling, its energy returning to the soil to nourish the next generation of life. This cycle was eternal, unbroken, a reminder that all things were connected, that life and death were not opposites, but parts of the same whole. To the people who told these stories, the tree was a living, breathing entity, a presence that could be felt in every part of their lives. It was the center of their world, the source of their strength, the symbol of their faith. They believed that as long as the tree stood, the world would remain in balance, that life would continue, that the gods would watch over them. But they also knew that the tree was vulnerable, that it could be damaged, that it could be destroyed. And so, they took care to honor it, to protect it, to ensure that it remained strong. They offered sacrifices to the tree, they prayed beneath its branches, they sought its guidance in times of trouble. They knew that their fate was tied to the fate of the tree, that as long as it stood, they would endure, but if it fell, so too would their world. The cosmic tree was not just a story, not just a symbol. It was the heart of their existence, the center of their universe, the axis around which their world turned. It was the connection between the earth and the heavens, the link between the living and the dead, the bridge between the gods and men. It was life itself, and as long as it stood, so too would the world, so too would they. And every breath they took, and every step they made, and every word they spoke, the tree was there, a silent, constant presence, a reminder of their place in the world, of their connection to all things. The tree was their past, their present, and their future, a living testament to the power of the cosmos, to the unbreakable bond between life and death, between the earth and the heavens, between the gods and men. In the shadow of the tree, they found peace, they found strength, they found hope. They knew that as long as the tree stood, they were safe, they were protected, they were connected to the divine. And so, they lived their lives in harmony with the tree, with the world, with the cosmos, knowing that they were a part of something greater, something eternal, something that would endure long after they were gone. The cosmic tree was more than just a tree. It was the world, the universe, the very essence of existence. It was the axis mundi, the center of all things, the heart of creation, the source of life. And as long as it stood, so too would the world, so too would they. When the first rays of the sun touched the earth, it was as if the heavens themselves were opening their arms in an embrace. The warmth spread over the land, awakening life in every corner. To the ancient people, this wasn't just the start of another day, it was a divine gift, a sign that the world was still under the watchful eye of the gods. The sun was more than a celestial body, it was a god, a powerful force that gave life and light, a presence that guided them through the darkness of night into the safety of day. The sun was the source of all warmth, the energy that made the crops grow, that kept the cold at bay, that gave strength to the weak. When the sun rose, it was as if the world itself was reborn, as if every living thing was being granted another chance at life. The people looked to the sun as a protector, a guardian that watched over them from the sky, that ensured their survival, that brought hope with every dawn. But the sun was not just a distant, untouchable god. It was also a part of them, a reflection of their own spirit, their own fire. They saw themselves in the sun, and its relentless journey across the sky, and its power to bring life, and its role as the center of their world. They worshipped the sun with songs, with dances, with prayers, offering their gratitude for the light and warmth it provided, for the life it sustained, for the hope it brought with each new day. As the sun made its journey across the sky, it was followed by the moon, a softer, gentler presence that brought light to the darkness. The moon was the sun's counterpart, the other half of the cosmic balance. It was the light that guided them through the night, that watched over them as they slept, that kept the darkness at bay. The moon was a goddess, a mother, a protector who watched over the earth with a tender, nurturing eye. The moon's light was soft, gentle, calming, a balm to the soul after the harshness of the day. The people looked to the moon as a symbol of peace, of rest, of renewal. They saw the moon's phases as a reflection of their own lives, waxing and waning, growing and shrinking, always changing, always moving, always in balance. The moon was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was light, there was hope, there was a guiding presence that would see them through the night. The stars, too, were more than just distant points of light. They were the spirits of the ancestors, the eyes of the gods, the symbols of the eternal. The stars were the keepers of knowledge, the guides that showed the way, the reminders that they were never truly alone. Each star was a soul, a story, a piece of the cosmos that connected them to the heavens, to the gods, to each other. When they looked up at the night sky, they saw not just a blanket of darkness, but a tapestry of life, of history, of destiny. The stars were the markers of time, the signposts that guided them on their journey through life. They saw their own lives reflected in the stars, their hopes, their dreams, their fears. The stars were a source of comfort, a reminder that they were part of something greater, something eternal, something that would continue long after they were gone. To the ancient people, the sun, the moon, and the stars were not just objects in the sky, they were living, breathing entities, gods and goddesses who watched over them, who guided them, who gave them life and light and hope. They worshipped these celestial bodies with a reverence that came from deep within, a reverence born of a profound understanding of their place in the universe, of their connection to the divine, of their dependence on the forces that controlled the heavens. They saw the sun as a father, a protector, a giver of life. They saw the moon as a mother, a nurturer, a guide. They saw the stars as their ancestors, their guides, their connection to the eternal. They knew that without the sun, the moon, and the stars, there would be no life, no light, no hope. And so, they honored these celestial bodies with all their heart, with all their soul, with all their being. The sun, the moon, and the stars were the pillars of their world, the foundations of their existence, the symbols of all that was sacred, all that was divine. They were the links between the earth and the heavens, the connections between the physical and the spiritual, the bridges between the mortal and the immortal. The people understood that their lives were bound to the movements of the heavens, that their fate was tied to the fate of the cosmos, that their existence was a reflection of the eternal dance of the sun, the moon, and the stars. And so, they lived their lives in harmony with the heavens, following the rhythms of the sun, the cycles of the moon, the patterns of the stars. They knew that they were part of a greater whole, that their lives were connected to the cosmos in ways that they could not fully understand, but that they could feel in every sunrise, every moonrise, every twinkle of the stars. The sun, the moon, and the stars were not just objects in the sky, they were the very essence of life, the embodiment of the divine, the heart of the cosmos. They were the gods and goddesses who watched over them, who guided them, who gave them life and light and hope. They were the symbols of all that was sacred, all that was eternal, all that was connected. And as long as the sun rose, as long as the moon shone, as long as the stars twinkled in the night sky, they knew that they were never alone, that they were always connected to the divine, that they were always part of the eternal dance of the cosmos. Beneath the vast sky, where the mountains rise and the rivers flow, there is a presence that can be felt in every step taken, every breath drawn. It is the earth herself, the ancient mother who cradles all life in her embrace. She is not just soil and rock, but a living, breathing being, the giver of life, the nurturer of all that grows and thrives upon her surface. In the eyes of those who walked the earth long ago, she was more than just a provider. She was a mother, a protector, a sacred force that connected everything that lived. Her body was the ground they walked on, the fields they tilled, the forests that sheltered them. Every tree that grew, every plant that sprouted, every animal that roamed was a gift from her, a piece of her soul that she shared with the world. They called her by many names, each one capturing a different aspect of her nature. She was the Great Mother, the Earth Mother, the source of all life. Her spirit flowed through the rivers, whispered through the trees, and danced in the wind. She was the earth beneath their feet and the heartbeat of the world, a constant presence that guided them, nurtured them, and held them in her care. The earth was more than just a mother, she was a living entity, filled with spirits that watched over the land. These spirits were her children, her guardians, the protectors of the natural world. They lived in the mountains, the forests, the rivers, and the fields, each one with its own personality, its own role in the grand design of life. The people respected these spirits, honored them, sought their blessings. They knew that to live in harmony with the earth, they had to honor the spirits that dwelled within her, to acknowledge their power, to respect their presence. The earth was a mother who provided, but she was also a mother who demanded respect. The people knew that if they harmed the earth, they would harm themselves, for they were her children, and their fate was tied to hers. They learned to listen to her, to understand her rhythms, to work with her, not against her. They planted their crops in harmony with the seasons, took only what they needed, and always gave thanks for what they received. They knew that the earth was not theirs to own, but a gift to be cared for, a mother to be honored. The spirits of the earth were not distant, abstract beings, they were a part of everyday life. They were the spirits of the trees that provided shade and shelter, the spirits of the rivers that gave water and life, the spirits of the fields that produced the food that sustained them. The people lived in constant awareness of these spirits, and a relationship of mutual respect and care. They offered prayers and sacrifices, built shrines, and held ceremonies to honor the spirits, to thank them for their blessings, to seek their guidance in times of need. The earth herself was the greatest of all spirits, the mother of all, the source of life. She was the one who gave birth to all things, who nurtured them, who took them back into her embrace when their time on earth was done. The people saw her as a being of immense power, but also of immense love. She was the one who fed them, who clothed them, who sheltered them. She was the one who provided the warmth of the sun, the coolness of the shade, the richness of the soil. The earth was not just a mother, she was the very essence of life. Her spirit was in every living thing, in every blade of grass, in every drop of rain, in every breath of wind. She was the heartbeat of the world, the pulse that kept everything alive, the force that connected all things. The people felt this connection in their bones, in their blood, in their very souls. They knew that they were a part of the earth, that they were her children, and that they were bound to her in a relationship of love and respect. To harm the earth was to harm themselves, for they were her children, and their fate was tied to hers. They understood that the earth was not just a resource to be exploited, but a mother to be cared for, a living being to be honored and respected. They knew that to live in harmony with the earth was to live in harmony with themselves, for they were a part of her, and she was a part of them. The spirits of the earth were not just guardians, they were guides, teachers, and protectors. They showed the people how to live in harmony with the natural world, how to take only what was needed, how to give back to the earth in gratitude for her gifts. The people listened to the spirits, followed their guidance, sought their blessings. They knew that the spirits were a part of the earth, just as they were, and that to honor the spirits was to honor the earth herself. The earth was a mother who loved her children, but she was also a mother who demanded respect. She was a force of nature, powerful, unyielding, but also nurturing and caring. The people understood this duality, respected it, and lived their lives in accordance with it. They knew that to live in harmony with the earth was to live in harmony with themselves, for they were her children, and their fate was tied to hers. In every seed they planted, in every tree they cut, in every river they crossed, they felt the presence of the earth, the power of her spirit, the love of her embrace. They knew that they were a part of something greater, something eternal, something that connected them to the very heart of the world. The earth was not just a place to live, she was a mother, a protector, a source of life. And as long as they honored her, as long as they respected her, as long as they cared for her, they knew that she would continue to provide, to nurture, to hold them in her loving embrace. The earth was their mother, their guide, their protector. She was the source of all life, the heart of the world, the spirit that connected them to all things. And as long as they lived in harmony with her, as long as they honored the spirits that dwelled within her, as long as they respected her power and her love, they knew that they would be safe, that they would be cared for, that they would be loved. In the vastness of the ancient world, where the winds whispered secrets and the stars held the mysteries of life, there was a belief that above all gods and spirits, there existed a supreme being, a force so powerful and so great that it encompassed the very essence of existence. This was the chief god or goddess, the one who stood at the pinnacle of the divine hierarchy, the one whose will shaped the world, whose presence was felt in every corner of the earth. This supreme deity was not distant or aloof. To the people who worshipped, this god or goddess was a living presence, one that could be felt in the rustling of the leaves, the roar of the thunder, the silence of the night. This deity was the source of all power, the creator of all life, the ruler of all that existed. Every prayer that was uttered, every offering that was made, every heart that beat with faith, did so in reverence to this supreme force. In the eyes of the people, the supreme deity was both a father and a mother, a protector and a judge, a source of endless love and infinite power. This deity was the one who brought the sun into the sky each morning, who commanded the rain to fall, who held the fate of all beings in their hands. The people knew that without the favor of this deity, their lives would be forfeit, their world would crumble, their very existence would fade into nothingness. The supreme deity was not just a ruler of the heavens, but the very fabric of the universe. Everything that was, everything that had been, and everything that would be, was a part of this deity. The mountains that rose high into the sky, the rivers that carved their way through the land, the stars that twinkled in the night, all were manifestations of this divine power. The people saw the supreme deity in every aspect of the world around them, in the beauty of a sunrise, in the terror of a storm, in the stillness of a winter night. This deity was both merciful and wrathful, loving and fearsome, kind and just. The people knew that the supreme god or goddess could bring great blessings, but also great destruction. They lived their lives in a constant state of reverence, knowing that their actions, their thoughts, their very existence, were under the watchful eye of this supreme being. They sought to please the deity with offerings, with prayers, with lives lived in accordance with the divine will. But this deity was not just a being of power and might. There was also a deep, profound love that flowed from the supreme being, a love that encompassed all of creation, that touched every living thing. The people felt this love in the warmth of the sun, in the growth of the crops, in the birth of a child. They knew that the supreme deity cared for them, watched over them, guided them. This love was a source of comfort, of strength, of hope. It was the assurance that, no matter what trials they faced, no matter what hardships they endured, they were never alone. The supreme deity was the heart of the world, the soul of the universe, the source of all life. The people looked to this deity for guidance, for protection, for wisdom. They believed that the supreme god or goddess had a plan, a purpose, a destiny for them, and that their lives were a part of a greater design. They knew that their fate was in the hands of this deity, and they trusted in that divine plan, even when it was difficult, even when it was painful, even when it was beyond their understanding. The supreme deity was the ultimate authority, the final judge, the one who held the scales of justice. The people believed that their actions would be weighed, their deeds would be judged, their souls would be measured by this deity. They lived their lives with this knowledge, striving to live in a way that would bring them favor, that would earn them a place in the divine presence, that would allow them to bask in the light of the supreme god or goddess for all eternity. This belief in a supreme deity was the foundation of their faith, the core of their spiritual lives. It gave them a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of connection to something greater than themselves. It was a source of comfort in times of sorrow, a source of strength in times of weakness, a source of hope in times of despair. The people knew that, no matter what happened in their lives, they were part of a greater plan, part of a divine design, part of the will of the supreme deity. And so, they lived their lives in reverence, and awe and devotion to this supreme being. They built temples and shrines, offered sacrifices and prayers, sang songs of praise and worship. They sought to honor the deity in all that they did, in the way they treated each other, in the way they cared for the earth, in the way they lived their lives. They knew that their actions mattered, that their lives had meaning, that they were part of something greater, something eternal, something divine. The supreme deity was the beginning and the end, the creator and the destroyer, the source of all life and the one who would one day call all life back to the divine. The people knew this, felt this, believed this with all their hearts. They knew that their lives were a gift, a precious gift from the supreme god or goddess, and they sought to live in a way that honored that gift, that honored the deity who had given them life, who had given them hope, who had given them love. And in that belief, in that faith, they found peace, they found strength, they found the courage to face whatever life brought their way. For they knew that, no matter what happened, they were never alone, never forgotten, never beyond the reach of the supreme deity's love. They were a part of the divine, a part of the supreme being, a part of the great, eternal, unending story of life. And in that knowledge, in that faith, they found their purpose, their meaning, their place in the universe. When the skies darkened, and the first rumble of thunder echoed across the land, there was a feeling that swept over the people, a mixture of awe, fear, and reverence. They knew that this was no ordinary storm. It was a sign that the gods of the sky were stirring, their voices booming through the heavens, their power on full display. These were the gods who ruled the sky, who commanded the storms, who wielded thunder and lightning like weapons of divine might. The sky was their domain, a vast expanse where they watched over the world below. They were the keepers of the clouds, the masters of the winds, the bringers of rain and storm. Their presence was felt in every gust of wind, every flash of lightning, every clap of thunder. They were the gods who could bring life-giving rain to parched lands or unleash destructive storms that could level mountains and forests. These gods were feared and worshipped, for their power was unmatched, their wrath swift and terrible. But they were also revered as protectors, as guardians who watched over the people, who kept the balance of the natural world. The people knew that the storms, fierce and wild as they were a necessary part of life, a sign that the gods were watching, that they cared, that they were involved in the world of men. The god of thunder was the most feared and respected of all. His voice was the thunder that rolled through the heavens, his weapon the lightning that split the sky. He was a warrior, a protector, a god of battle and strength. The people believed that when he struck the earth with his lightning, he was driving away evil spirits, protecting them from harm, cleansing the land with his divine fire. But this god was not just a force of destruction. He was also a bringer of rain, the lifeblood of the earth. When the storms came, when the rains fell, it was a sign that the god of thunder was blessing the land, giving life to the crops, filling the rivers, nourishing the earth. The people would lift their faces to the sky, feeling the rain on their skin, knowing that it was a gift from the God who ruled the heavens. The gods of the sky were also seen as judges, their storms a reflection of their judgment on the world below. A clear, calm sky was a sign of favor, of approval, of peace. But when the storms came, when the skies darkened and the winds howled, it was a warning, a sign that the gods were displeased, that something had gone wrong in the world. The people would offer prayers and sacrifices, seeking to appease the gods, to calm their wrath, to bring back the peace of a clear sky. The god of thunder was often depicted as a mighty figure, strong and fierce, with a weapon in hand, ready to strike down any who would threaten the peace of the world. His power was absolute, his will unyielding. The people saw him as a protector, but also as a stern judge, one who would not hesitate to punish those who broke the laws of the gods. They respected him, feared him, but also loved him, for they knew that without his protection, they would be lost. The storms that the god of thunder brought were both a blessing and a curse. They were a reminder of the power of the gods, a sign that they were not to be trifled with, that their will was absolute. But they were also a source of life, of renewal, of hope. The people knew that after the storm, the land would be refreshed, the air clear, the earth ready to bring forth new life. They would look out over the land, seeing the storm clouds roll away, feeling the coolness of the air, knowing that the god of thunder had done his work, that the world was safe once more. The sky was not just a place of storms and thunder, but a realm of beauty and wonder. The people would look up at the clear blue sky, seeing the sun shining down, feeling the warmth on their skin, and they would know that the gods of the sky were watching over them, that they were safe, that they were loved. The sky was a place of power, but also a place of peace, a reminder of the balance that the gods maintained, the harmony that they brought to the world. The gods of the sky were not distant or uncaring. They were involved in every aspect of life, their power felt in every breath of wind, every drop of rain, every flash of lightning. The people knew that they could not control the sky, that they were at the mercy of these gods, but they also knew that they were not alone, that the gods were with them, guiding them, protecting them, loving them. The sky was a place of mystery, of power, of beauty. It was a place where the gods dwelled, where they watched over the world, where they brought their blessings and their wrath. The people would lift their eyes to the sky, feeling the presence of the gods, knowing that they were a part of something greater, something eternal, something divine. The gods of the sky were their protectors, their judges, their bringers of life and death, and the people lived their lives in awe of their power and fear of their wrath, but also in love with the beauty and wonder of the sky above. In every storm, in every gust of wind, and every drop of rain, the people felt the presence of the gods of the sky. They knew that they were not alone, that they were protected, that they were loved. And in that knowledge, in that faith, they found the strength to face whatever storms life might bring, knowing that the gods of the sky were with them, guiding them, protecting them, loving them, just as they always had, just as they always would. As the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, a golden warmth spread across the land, filling every heart with hope and every soul with reverence. It was more than just the beginning of a new day, it was a moment of divine significance. The people believed that the sun was not just a celestial body but a living deity, a god of immense power and endless compassion. Each sunrise was a gift, a reminder of the god's unwavering presence, a promise that life would continue, that the world would be bathed in light and warmth once more. The sun was life itself. Its rays brought warmth to the earth, coaxing seeds to sprout and flowers to bloom. The people saw the sun as a benevolent ruler, one who watched over them from the heavens, ensuring that their crops grew, that their families were safe, that the world remained in balance. They felt the sun's embrace in every breath of warm air, and every sunbeam that touched their skin, and every spark of fire that crackled in their hearts. Fire, too, was sacred. Born of the sun, it was the earthly manifestation of the god's power. It brought light into the darkness, warmth into the cold, life into the lifeless. The flames that danced in the hearth were more than just a source of heat, they were a connection to the divine, a spark of the god's own essence. When the people gathered around the fire, they felt the god's presence among them, protecting them, guiding them, loving them. The god of fire was a guardian, a protector of the home and the hearth. The people entrusted their lives to this god, knowing that fire could be both a friend and a foe. It could warm their homes, cook their food, and light their way, but it could also bring destruction if not respected. The people treated fire with the reverence it deserved, knowing that within its flames was the power of the gods, a power that could both give and take life. The sun, rising high in the sky, was a constant, a symbol of stability in a world full of uncertainties. The people looked to the sun as the ultimate giver of life, the force that kept the world turning, that marked the passage of time, that brought day after night, warmth after cold, light after darkness. Each day, as the sun climbed higher, the people felt a deep sense of gratitude, knowing that the god had once again blessed them with another day of life, another chance to live, to love, to grow. At sunset, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky ablaze with colors of gold and red, the people felt a mix of emotions. There was the beauty of the sunset, a breathtaking display of the god's power and grace, but also a sense of loss, of the day coming to an end, of the god retreating into the underworld, leaving the world in darkness. Yet, even in the darkness, the people knew that the god was still with them, watching over them through the night, guiding them with the stars, protecting them with the warmth of the fire. The sun's journey across the sky was seen as a cycle of life and death, of birth and rebirth. Each morning, the sun was born anew, rising from the depths of the underworld, bringing light and life to the world. Each evening, the sun descended into the underworld, where it battled the forces of darkness, only to rise again, victorious, at dawn. The people saw this cycle as a reflection of their own lives, of the eternal struggle between life and death, light and darkness, warmth and cold. Fire, too, was a symbol of this cycle. It could destroy, but it could also purify, cleanse, renew. The people used fire in their rituals, in their ceremonies, in their daily lives, knowing that it was a gift from the god, a tool to be used wisely, a force to be respected. When they kindled a fire, they were not just lighting a flame, they were invoking the power of the god, bringing a piece of the sun into their homes, into their lives, into their hearts. The god of the sun and fire was a source of inspiration, of creativity, of passion. The people felt the god's influence in their work, in their art, in their love. The warmth of the sun and the light of the fire fueled their spirits, giving them the energy to build, to create, to dream. They knew that the god's power was not just in the physical world, but also in the world of the spirit, in the fire that burned within each of them, in the light that shone in their souls. As the sun set and the fires burned low, the people would gather together, sharing stories, singing songs, offering prayers. They would look up at the stars, knowing that the god was still with them, still watching over them, still guiding them. They would feel the warmth of the fire on their faces, the light of the flames in their eyes, and they would know that they were not alone, that they were loved, that they were part of something greater, something eternal, something divine. The sun and fire were more than just sources of light and warmth, they were symbols of life, of hope, of the enduring power of the divine. The people knew that without the sun, there would be no life, and without fire, there would be no warmth, no light, no spark of creativity. They lived their lives in reverence to these gods, knowing that they owed their existence, their survival, their very souls to the god of the sun and fire. In every sunrise, and every flicker of flame, the people saw the hand of the god, felt the warmth of the divine, heard the whisper of eternity. They knew that the sun would rise again, that the fire would burn again, that life would continue, that the god would always be with them, guiding them, protecting them, loving them, just as the sun and fire had always done, just as they always would. When the sky turns dark and the first drops of rain begin to fall, the people lift their faces to the heavens, their hearts swelling with gratitude and awe. The rain is more than just water falling from the sky. It is a gift from the gods, a blessing that brings life and sustenance to the land. The deities of water and rain were revered as powerful forces that controlled the flow of rivers, the rise of springs, and the fall of rain, weaving their divine touch into every aspect of life. Water is the essence of life. It quenches thirst, nourishes crops, and sustains all living things. The people believed that the gods of water were responsible for the rivers that flowed through their lands, the springs that bubbled up from the earth, and the rain that fell from the sky. Without these gods, there would be no crops, no food, no life. They were seen as the keepers of the earth's most precious resource, the life-giving liquid that made growth and fertility possible. Each time the rains came, the earth seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The parched land drank deeply, the rivers swelled and flowed with renewed vigor, and the fields, once dry and barren, came alive with lush green growth. The people knew that this transformation was the work of the gods of water, who watched over their land, ensuring that it remained fertile and abundant. These deities were often seen as benevolent spirits, generous and nurturing, who gave freely of their gifts to ensure the well-being of the people. The gods of water were believed to live in the rivers and springs, their presence felt in the gentle flow of water, the cool touch of a stream, the soothing sound of rain falling on the roof. The people honored them with rituals and offerings, pouring water on the ground, making sacrifices by the river, and praying for their favor. The rain was not just a necessity for agriculture, it was a symbol of life's rhythms, a reflection of the gods' will. When the rains were plentiful, the people celebrated, knowing that the gods were pleased and that the harvest would be bountiful. They would dance in the rain, sing songs of thanks, and offer gifts to the gods, showing their appreciation for the life-giving water that nourished their land. But the gods of water and rain were not just about abundance. They were also powerful forces that could bring floods, storms, and destruction if they were angered. The people knew that water, while essential, was also a force to be reckoned with. They respected the gods, understanding that their power could both bless and challenge them. When the rains came too heavily, when the rivers overflowed, the people would offer prayers for relief, seeking to calm the gods and restore balance to their world. The water deities were closely linked to the cycles of nature, the changing seasons, and the rhythms of life. They were seen as the keepers of these natural cycles, ensuring that the earth received the right amount of rain at the right time. The people understood that the gods controlled the flow of water, and they looked to them for guidance and protection. They prayed for timely rains to nourish their crops, for gentle springs to sustain their lands, and for clear rivers to provide clean water for their families. Water was also associated with purification and renewal. The people believed that the gods of water could cleanse the soul, wash away sins, and bring new beginnings. Water rituals were a common part of religious ceremonies, symbolizing the washing away of impurities and the renewal of life. The people would immerse themselves in sacred waters, believing that the touch of the divine would bring them closer to the gods, that it would purify their spirits and strengthen their connection to the divine. The gods of water were often depicted as nurturing and compassionate figures, their presence felt in the gentle flow of a stream, the soft patter of rain, the shimmering surface of a lake. They were seen as protectors of the earth, guardians of life, and bearers of fertility. Their influence extended beyond agriculture, touching every aspect of life, from the health of the people to the well-being of the animals, from the fertility of the land to the abundance of the harvest. In every drop of rain, every trickle of a stream, the people felt the touch of the gods, their presence imbuing the water with divine power. They knew that without the gods of water, there would be no life, no growth, no hope. They lived in harmony with the rhythms of nature, honoring the gods with their rituals, their gratitude, and their respect. And as they watched the rain fall and the rivers flow, they felt a deep connection to the divine, a sense of awe and wonder at the miraculous gift of water in the gods who bestowed it upon them. In the quiet moments before dawn, when the world is still and the earth is just beginning to stir, the people whisper their prayers to the earth goddess. She is a nurturing presence, a gentle force of creation who embodies the very essence of life and growth. Her spirit is woven into the fabric of the earth itself, and her blessings are felt in every seed that sprouts, every bloom that unfurls, every child that is born. The earth goddess is not just a figure of worship but a living, breathing symbol of fertility and motherhood. She is seen as the Great Mother, the one who cradles and sustains all life. Her body is the land, rich and fertile, ready to give nourishment to the crops, the animals, and the people. The ground beneath their feet is her gift, and every harvest, every grain of wheat, every fruit, is a testament to her love and care. Her influence extends beyond the fields and forests. In every home, her presence is felt in the nurturing of families and the raising of children. She is the comfort of a mother's embrace, the warmth of a home, the promise of safety and care. Her blessings ensure that families grow strong and healthy, that children are born with the vitality and spirit to thrive. The earth goddess's love is seen in the soft touch of a mother's hand, the soothing lullabies that calm a child to sleep, the boundless energy of a young life just beginning to explore the world. The rituals performed in her honor are acts of gratitude and reverence. The people offer gifts from the land, fresh fruits, grains, and flowers, as tokens of their appreciation. They perform dances and sing songs that celebrate the life-giving power of the earth, expressing their thanks for the abundance she provides. Each act of devotion is a way to acknowledge her role as the source of all life, a way to honor her presence in their daily existence. The earth goddess is also a symbol of renewal and regeneration. When the seasons change and the land lies fallow, the people understand that this is a time of rest and waiting. They know that the earth goddess is not idle but is preparing for the next cycle of growth. In her embrace, the land is resting, gathering strength, readying itself to give new life. The people trust that after the fallow season, the earth will once again burst into life, that the fields will be lush and green, that the crops will flourish. In moments of hardship, when the earth is dry and the crops are failing, the people turn to the earth goddess with desperate prayers. They ask for her mercy, for her intervention to bring rain, to restore fertility to the land. They perform rituals and make offerings, hoping to awaken her compassion, to receive her blessings once more. The earth goddess's power is seen as both a gift and a responsibility, a reminder that they must care for the land as she cares for them. Her depictions in art and sculpture often show her as a figure of abundant fertility, her body round and full, symbolizing the richness of the land and the promise of new life. Her face is gentle, her eyes filled with wisdom and warmth. She is surrounded by symbols of fertility, crops, animals, children, each representing the various aspects of her nurturing power. Through these images, the people connect with her, drawing inspiration and strength from her divine presence. The earth goddess's influence is not limited to the physical world, it extends into the spiritual realm. She is a guardian of life, a protector of the natural order, a source of comfort and solace. Her presence is felt in the rhythms of the seasons, the cycles of life and death, the continuous flow of creation and renewal. Her love is a constant, a guiding force that ensures the harmony and balance of the world. In the quiet moments of reflection, the people find solace in their connection to the earth goddess. They feel her presence in the gentle rustling of leaves, the soft caress of a breeze, the life-giving nourishment of the soil. Her influence is a reminder of the deep bond between humanity and the earth, of the sacred relationship that sustains life and supports growth. Through her, the people understand that they are part of a greater whole, that their lives are intertwined with the cycles of nature, with the rhythms of the earth. They see in her a reflection of their own hopes and dreams, their own struggles and triumphs. Her presence is a source of inspiration, a beacon of light in times of darkness, a reminder of the beauty and abundance of the world. In every sunrise, every blooming flower, every new life, the people recognize the hand of the earth goddess, her divine touch that brings life and sustenance. They honor her with their actions, their words, and their hearts, knowing that her blessings are the foundation of their existence, the source of their strength, and the embodiment of their deepest reverence for the natural world. When the sky darkens and the world falls silent, the people turn their thoughts to the gods of death and the underworld, the deities who govern the passage from life to the afterlife. These gods are not feared but revered, seen as guides who lead souls through the unknown, ensuring a smooth transition to the world beyond. In every culture, there is a profound sense of respect for the mysteries of death. The underworld is not merely a place of darkness, but a realm of profound significance, where the souls of the departed journey to find peace and rest. The gods of the underworld are seen as caretakers of this sacred space, guardians who watch over the souls and guide them through their final journey. The underworld is often envisioned as a place where the soul goes to rest, to reflect on the life it has left behind. It is a realm where time stands still, where the soul can find solace and closure. The gods of this realm are depicted as wise and compassionate, their roles essential in ensuring that every soul finds its rightful place and that justice is served. The goddess of the underworld is often seen as a figure of both mystery and solace. She is the one who greets the souls as they arrive, leading them gently into the afterlife. Her presence is both comforting and solemn, a reminder that death is a part of the natural order, a transition rather than an end. She is depicted as serene and composed, her demeanor a reflection of the peace she offers to the souls in her care. The god of death, on the other hand, is often portrayed as a stern but fair figure. He is the one who carries out the duties of his role with a sense of duty and justice. His task is to separate the soul from the physical body, to guide it to the underworld, and to ensure that the balance between life and death is maintained. His presence is a reminder of the inevitability of death, but also of the importance of living a life of virtue and honor. These deities are not just figures of mythology, they are deeply woven into the fabric of human experience. The rituals and ceremonies performed in their honor are acts of respect and reverence, meant to honor the dead and seek favor for those who remain. Offerings are made, prayers are spoken, and rites are performed to ensure that the soul finds peace in the afterlife and that the living are protected and guided in their own lives. The journey to the underworld is often depicted as a passage through a series of trials or challenges. The gods of death and the underworld are seen as guides who help the souls navigate these challenges, ensuring that they are prepared for their final destination. The journey is one of reflection and reckoning, a time for the soul to come to terms with its past and to prepare for its new existence. In times of grief and mourning, the people turn to these deities for comfort and understanding. They seek solace in the belief that their loved ones are in good hands, that the gods are guiding them to a place of peace and rest. The gods of the underworld are seen as benevolent figures who offer assurance and support, helping the living cope with their loss and find meaning in their own lives. The concept of the afterlife varies among cultures, but the underlying message remains the same: death is a transition, not an end. The gods who rule the underworld are seen as essential figures in this process, their roles critical in maintaining the balance between life and death. They are the ones who ensure that every soul is treated with respect, that justice is served, and that peace is found. The deities of death and the underworld also play a role in the moral and ethical teachings of their cultures. They serve as reminders of the consequences of one's actions, the importance of living a life of integrity, and the belief that there is more to existence than just the physical world. Their presence reinforces the idea that life is precious and that the choices one makes have lasting impact. In every story, in every ritual, the gods of death and the underworld remind the people of the beauty and sanctity of life and death. They are the bridge between the known and the unknown, guiding souls with wisdom and care. Their role is both humbling and comforting, offering a sense of continuity and assurance in the face of life's greatest mystery. In the roar of battle and the clash of swords, the ancient people called upon the gods of war, their hearts full of both hope and fear. These deities, fierce and formidable, were not just distant figures but vital forces in their daily lives, embodying the raw power and unyielding spirit required in times of conflict. For them, the gods of war were more than just symbols; they were protectors, guides, and sources of strength in the harsh realities of battle. The gods of war were seen as mighty warriors, their presence commanding respect and awe. They were depicted with weapons, armor, and a fierce countenance, embodying the qualities needed for victory and survival. These gods were believed to be the driving force behind the courage of soldiers and the strategies of generals. In the heat of battle, their favor was crucial, their guidance sought through prayers and sacrifices. Every clash of armies was seen as a dance with the divine. Before heading into battle, warriors would offer sacrifices, often animals, sometimes even their own blood, hoping to win the favor of the war gods. They believed that these sacrifices would bring them strength, protection, and victory. The gods of war were seen as the arbiters of fate, deciding which side would triumph and which would fall. The role of these deities extended beyond the battlefield. They were also seen as guardians of honor and justice. In times of peace, the people turned to them for protection and guidance, seeking their wisdom to resolve conflicts and ensure fairness. The gods of war were not just about destruction; they were also about maintaining balance and upholding the values of bravery and integrity. Stories of these gods filled the hearts of the people with awe and reverence. One such deity might have been the embodiment of fierce courage, known for their mighty battles and legendary feats. Their stories were told around the fire, inspiring young warriors and reminding everyone of the virtues needed to face adversity. The gods of war were seen as models of strength and valor, their deeds recounted with pride and respect. In their temples, the gods of war were honored with grand ceremonies and elaborate rituals. These sacred spaces were not just places of worship but centers of community, where people gathered to offer thanks, seek blessings, and celebrate victories. The rituals performed in their honor were both solemn and vibrant, reflecting the dual nature of these deities as both fearsome and revered. During times of conflict, the presence of the gods was felt deeply. The people believed that their deities walked among them, guiding their actions and influencing the outcome of battles. The clash of steel and the cries of warriors were seen as a manifestation of the gods' will, their favor determining the tides of war. The gods of war were believed to intervene directly in the battles, their power evident in the strength of the soldiers and the strategies employed. The war gods were also seen as protectors of the land and its people. They were invoked not only during battles but also in times of threat or unrest. The people sought their protection from invaders, hoping that their divine intervention would safeguard their homes and loved ones. The war gods were seen as fierce defenders, their power a shield against the chaos and destruction of war. Despite their fearsome reputation, these deities were also seen as bearers of hope and renewal. After the bloodshed, the gods of war were honored in rituals of thanksgiving and reconciliation. The end of conflict was seen as a time to heal and rebuild, and the gods were invoked to bless the land and the people, ensuring a peaceful future. The presence of these deities was a reminder that even in the midst of war, there was the possibility of peace and restoration. The influence of the war gods extended to the personal lives of the people as well. Warriors would carry tokens or amulets bearing the symbols of these deities, believing that their protection and strength would accompany them into battle. The gods of war were seen as personal guardians, their favor sought in moments of personal struggle and conflict. In every story of bravery and every account of battle, the gods of war stood as powerful figures, their presence a constant in the lives of those who faced the trials of conflict. They were not just figures of myth, but integral parts of the people's reality, their power and influence deeply woven into the fabric of their existence. The gods of war were a source of inspiration, strength, and hope, their legacy a testament to the enduring spirit of those who faced the fiercest of battles. In the quiet moments of contemplation, when the world feels still and the answers to life's greatest questions seem just out of reach, the ancient people would turn to the gods of wisdom and knowledge. These deities, revered for their insight and magical abilities, were seen as the guiding lights in the darkness of ignorance. Their influence was profound, their presence a beacon of hope and understanding in a world full of mystery and uncertainty. The gods of wisdom were seen as bearers of enlightenment, their wisdom a gift to humanity. They were often depicted as wise and serene figures, their eyes filled with the knowledge of ages. Their role was to offer guidance, to provide answers to the questions that troubled the hearts and minds of the people. They were believed to possess the secrets of the universe, the keys to understanding the world and its mysteries. One such deity might have been a figure of great intellect, whose teachings were sought after by scholars and seekers of truth. This god was seen as the patron of learning, the source of all knowledge and insight. People would turn to this deity in times of confusion, hoping that their divine wisdom would shed light on their path and lead them to answers. The gods of magic were also deeply revered. Their abilities were seen as both wondrous and mysterious, capable of influencing the natural world and bending reality to their will. Magic was not just a tool but a sacred gift, and those who wielded it were often seen as intermediaries between the divine and the mundane. The gods of magic were believed to be the masters of this art, their powers a reflection of their profound understanding of the universe. Rituals and ceremonies in honor of these deities were both solemn and awe-inspiring. Temples dedicated to them were places of learning and reflection, where scholars and seekers gathered to honor the gods and seek their blessings. Offerings were made, often intricate works of art, finely crafted tools, or precious artifacts, as symbols of respect and devotion. The people sought to align themselves with the divine wisdom of the gods, hoping that their favor would grant them insight and clarity. The stories of these gods were filled with wonder and inspiration. Tales of their feats of wisdom and magic were told with reverence, their deeds a source of both awe and aspiration. One might hear of a god who solved a great cosmic riddle, or another who used their magical powers to bring about a miraculous change. These stories were not just entertainment but lessons in the power of knowledge and the importance of seeking wisdom. In times of personal struggle or uncertainty, the people would turn to the gods of wisdom and knowledge for guidance. They would seek out oracles and seers, hoping that the divine insight would help them navigate their challenges. The gods were seen as sources of strength and clarity, their wisdom a beacon in the midst of confusion. Education and learning were seen as sacred pursuits, and those who dedicated themselves to the acquisition of knowledge were often held in high regard. The gods of wisdom were seen as patrons of scholars and philosophers, their influence extending into the realms of art, science, and literature. The pursuit of knowledge was not just a personal quest, but a way to honor the divine, to align oneself with the eternal truths that these gods embodied. The gods of wisdom and knowledge also played a role in shaping the moral and ethical teachings of their societies. Their teachings were seen as a guide for living a virtuous life, their wisdom a source of moral clarity. The people believed that by following the principles taught by these deities, they could live in harmony with the universe and with each other. The connection between the gods of wisdom and their followers was deeply personal. The people felt that the wisdom of these deities was accessible to them, that they could tap into this divine knowledge through prayer, meditation, and study. The gods were seen as companions in the quest for understanding, their presence a constant source of inspiration and encouragement. In every lesson learned and every insight gained, the influence of the gods of wisdom and knowledge was felt. Their presence was a reminder of the beauty and complexity of the world, of the infinite possibilities that lay within the pursuit of understanding. Their power was not just in the knowledge they imparted, but in the way they inspired others to seek out the truth, to strive for greater understanding, and to find their own place in the vast tapestry of existence. In the quiet moments of reflection, the people would feel the touch of the divine wisdom, a gentle reminder that they were not alone in their quest for knowledge. The gods of wisdom and knowledge were more than just figures of mythology. They were living symbols of the quest for understanding, the pursuit of truth, and the eternal search for meaning in the grand, mysterious expanse of the universe. As the first rays of dawn kissed the fields and the earth stirred with life, the ancient people would gather to honor the gods of agriculture and harvest. These deities were the silent guardians of their sustenance, the unseen forces that nurtured their crops and blessed their labor. In the rhythm of the seasons and the cycle of growth, they found a sacred connection, their lives intertwined with the divine. The gods of agriculture were seen as the nurturing spirits of the earth. They were believed to breathe life into the soil, coaxing seeds to sprout and guiding them to maturity. Each planting season was an act of faith, a hopeful gesture that the gods would bestow their favor upon the fields. In every sprout that broke through the earth, the people saw a sign of divine blessing, a promise of nourishment and abundance. One such deity might have been a gentle and loving figure, embodying the essence of fertility and growth. Their presence was felt in every seed sown and every crop harvested. People would offer thanks through prayers and rituals, hoping to show their gratitude and to seek continued favor. The fertility of the land was not just a matter of luck, but a reflection of the gods' benevolence, their love woven into the fabric of the natural world. The harvest festivals were moments of profound celebration and reverence. As the fields turned golden and the crops ripened, the people would come together to honor their agricultural gods. The air was filled with the scent of freshly harvested grain, the sound of laughter, and the sight of colorful decorations. It was a time to give thanks for the abundance that sustained their lives and to celebrate the bond between the earth and the divine. These festivals were marked by offerings of the first fruits and grains, symbolizing the first and best of the harvest being given back to the gods. Rituals were performed to ensure that the blessings would continue for the next season, and prayers were made for protection from any future hardships. The gods of agriculture were seen as the keepers of balance, their favor ensuring that the cycle of growth would continue year after year. The cycle of the seasons was also seen as a divine rhythm, with each season bringing its own blessings and challenges. The gods were believed to guide this cycle, ensuring that the earth remained fertile and productive. The changing seasons were not just natural phenomena but a reflection of the gods' influence, their presence felt in the warmth of summer, the crispness of autumn, and the renewal of spring. In times of drought or poor harvests, the people would turn to the gods with heavy hearts, seeking their guidance and intervention. They would perform special rituals, offer sacrifices, and plead for rain and fertile soil. The gods were seen as compassionate figures who could be swayed by the sincerity of their prayers and the depth of their devotion. Even in the hardest times, the belief in the gods' power and mercy provided a glimmer of hope. The relationship between the people and the gods of agriculture was one of mutual respect and dependence. The deities were seen not only as protectors but as partners in the cycle of life. The people understood that their well-being was tied to the health of the land and the favor of the gods. In every planting and every harvest, they sought to honor this sacred partnership, their efforts a reflection of their devotion. The stories and myths surrounding these deities were filled with imagery of growth and renewal. Tales of gods who walked the fields, blessed the crops, and ensured the abundance of harvests were told with reverence and pride. These stories were not just entertainment but a way to connect with the divine, to understand the importance of their role in the natural world. As the seasons changed and the years passed, the cycle of agriculture continued, with each new season bringing its own challenges and rewards. The gods of agriculture were seen as timeless, their influence a constant presence in the lives of the people. Their role was not just in providing for the present, but in ensuring a future where the land would continue to thrive and support generations to come. The deities of agriculture and harvest were more than just symbols of nature, they were the heart of the people's existence. Their blessings were seen in every thriving field, every bountiful harvest, and every moment of abundance. Through their reverence and rituals, the people honored these gods, their lives a testament to the divine care and guidance that sustained them through the cycles of life and growth. In the stillness of the ancient forest, where the whisper of the wind carried secrets of the past, animals were more than mere creatures, they were revered symbols of divine power and connection. The sacred relationship between humans and animals was woven into the very fabric of early societies, where animals were not only seen as companions, but as sacred beings holding profound spiritual significance. The people of these early societies saw animals as messengers of the divine, their behaviors and characteristics holding lessons and omens. Each animal was a symbol, embodying qualities that were cherished or feared. The mighty eagle, soaring high above, was a symbol of vision and freedom. The wise owl, with its silent flight, represented wisdom and the mysteries of the night. Even the smallest creatures, like the humble ant, were seen as embodiments of hard work and perseverance. Totemism was more than a belief, it was a way of life. The people believed that they shared a deep spiritual connection with certain animals, which were considered to be their totems. These totems were not merely symbols, but were seen as protectors, guides, and sources of power. Each clan or tribe had its own totem, a sacred animal that was central to their identity and spirituality. The totem was honored with rituals, stories, and symbols, serving as a bridge between the human world and the divine. In ceremonies and rituals, the people would invoke the power of their totemic animals, seeking their guidance and protection. These ceremonies were filled with reverence and awe, as they honored the animals with offerings and prayers. The presence of the totemic animal was believed to bring blessings and ensure harmony with nature. In every dance and chant, the spirit of the animal was felt, its essence merging with the human experience in a sacred bond. The significance of animal deities was also reflected in the art and artifacts of these ancient cultures. Carvings and paintings depicted animals in vibrant detail, celebrating their beauty and power. These artworks were not just decorative, but were infused with spiritual meaning, each stroke of the chisel or brush a tribute to the divine essence of the animal. In every piece, there was a sense of reverence and connection, a visual expression of the profound bond between humans and animals. Animal deities also played a crucial role in the myths and legends of early societies. Stories were told of gods and spirits who took the form of animals, their actions shaping the world and the lives of the people. These tales were filled with wonder and magic, capturing the essence of the animal's power and its role in the cosmic order. The gods who appeared as animals were seen as embodiments of the natural forces that governed the world, their presence a reminder of the sacredness of all life. The rituals dedicated to animal deities were moments of deep emotional connection. The people would gather in sacred spaces, their hearts full of hope and devotion, as they performed ceremonies to honor their animal gods. The air was filled with chants and songs, each one a prayer for protection, guidance, and favor. The sense of community was palpable, as everyone came together in their shared reverence for the divine animals that watched over them. In everyday life, the influence of animal deities and totems was ever present. The people's daily activities were infused with the lessons and symbols of their sacred animals. Whether hunting, gathering, or farming, they carried the spirit of their totems with them, their actions guided by the qualities and teachings of their animal gods. The animals were seen as partners in life, their presence a constant reminder of the divine connection that bound them to the natural world. The worship of animal deities also reflected a deep respect for the natural world. The people understood that their lives were intertwined with the lives of the animals they revered. They saw themselves as part of a greater cosmic order, where every animal had its place and purpose. This sense of interconnectedness fostered a profound respect for nature, guiding them to live in harmony with the world around them. As night fell and the stars appeared, the people would look up at the sky and remember the sacred animals that had shaped their lives. The constellations were often seen as representations of their totems, their stories written in the stars. In this celestial tapestry, the animals were eternal, their divine presence a guiding light in the darkness. In every corner of their lives, the people felt the presence of their animal deities and totems. The sacred bond they shared with these creatures was a source of strength and inspiration, guiding them through the challenges of life and the mysteries of the universe. The reverence they held for their animal gods was a testament to the profound connection between humanity and the divine, a bond that transcended the physical world and reached into the heart of the sacred. In the heart of the ancient world, there were places where the veil between the human and the divine felt incredibly thin. These sacred sites and temples were more than just structures, they were the very souls of the people's spiritual lives, places where the earth met the heavens in a sacred embrace. Each site was a testament to the reverence and awe the early societies held for the divine, a physical manifestation of their belief and devotion. At dawn, when the first light of day painted the skies in hues of gold and pink, the sacred sites came alive with a quiet, reverent energy. These were not merely locations for worship, they were sanctuaries where the divine was believed to dwell. From towering temples nestled on mountain peaks to humble shrines by babbling brooks, each site held its own special magic, a unique connection to the divine that made it a focal point of spiritual life. Walking through the gates of these sacred places, one could feel a profound sense of peace and reverence. The air was thick with centuries of prayers and offerings, the ground trodden by countless faithful who had come seeking a glimpse of the divine. The stones of the temples seemed to hum with an ancient energy, each one a silent witness to the devotion and hope of those who had walked before. The significance of these sites went beyond their physical beauty. Each location was chosen with care, often based on its natural features or its connection to a particular deity. A temple perched on a hilltop might symbolize the god's connection to the heavens, while a shrine near a river could represent the life-giving power of water. These sites were not just places to worship, they were seen as living embodiments of the gods themselves. Inside the temples, the atmosphere was filled with the scent of incense and the soft glow of flickering candles. The walls were often adorned with intricate carvings and paintings depicting scenes of divine power and grace. Each artwork was a testament to the reverence of the people, a visual prayer that spoke to the heart of the divine. As worshippers moved through the temple, their footsteps echoed with the weight of tradition and devotion, each step a part of an ancient ritual that connected them to the gods. Rituals performed at these sacred sites were moments of profound significance. Offerings of food, flowers, and precious objects were placed before the deities, each item a token of respect and gratitude. The priests and priestesses, dressed in their ceremonial garb, chanted ancient hymns and recited prayers that had been passed down through generations. The words were not just sounds, they were prayers infused with hope and longing, carried on the breath of those who spoke them. The sacred sites were also places of community and unity. Festivals and gatherings brought people together, their voices blending in song and prayer. The sense of belonging and shared devotion created a powerful bond, a reminder of the common faith that linked them all. The joy and solemnity of these occasions were felt deeply, a collective expression of gratitude and reverence that filled the sacred spaces with a vibrant energy. Beyond their role as centers of worship, the sacred sites were also places of reflection and personal connection. For those who sought solace or guidance, the quiet corners of a temple offered a sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. The solitude and peace found within these spaces provided a space for personal contemplation, a moment to feel the presence of the divine in the silence of one's own heart. As the sun set and shadows lengthened, the sacred sites took on a different kind of beauty. The dim light of dusk cast a soft glow over the temples, the flickering lanterns and candles creating an ethereal ambience. In this twilight hour, the sites seemed to breathe with a life of their own, a reminder of the divine presence that was ever watchful and ever loving. The significance of these sacred sites and temples went far beyond their physical form. They were the heart of the people's spiritual lives, the places where the divine and the earthly met in a profound and sacred union. Each site was a testament to the deep connection between humanity and the divine, a reminder of the beauty and power of faith. The devotion poured into these sites was evident in every detail, from the grandest temple to the smallest shrine. They were more than just places of worship, they were the living embodiment of the people's spiritual aspirations and their longing for connection with the divine. In every stone, every carving, and every prayer, there was a reflection of the deep and abiding faith that made these sacred sites truly special. In the hush of dawn, when the world is still waking, ancient rituals of sacrifice and offerings began with a profound sense of purpose and reverence. These ceremonies were more than mere acts, they were heartfelt expressions of devotion, bridging the gap between the mortal and the divine with a blend of solemnity and hope. The rituals unfolded with meticulous care. The air was filled with a mixture of anticipation and solemnity as participants prepared for the sacred act. Hands moved with practiced grace, arranging offerings of food, precious items, and sometimes even animals, each chosen to honor and appease the gods. These offerings were not just gifts, they were symbols of respect and gratitude, meant to show the depth of devotion and the sincerity of the worshippers' hearts. Each ritual began with a moment of silent prayer. Eyes closed, hearts open, the people poured their hopes and fears into their words, sending them upward with the hope that the gods would hear and understand. The silence was filled with a collective breath, a shared sense of vulnerability and trust, as if the very air carried their wishes to the heavens. When the time came to present the offerings, there was a palpable sense of reverence. Each item was placed with care and intention, from the finest grains of wheat to the most delicate of flowers. The sacrifice, whether it was an animal or a precious object, was approached with the utmost respect. The act of giving was seen not as a loss, but as a profound gesture of connection. It was a way to show that the offerings, though valuable, were given willingly to honor the divine. The rituals themselves were accompanied by ancient chants and prayers, their rhythms echoing through the sacred spaces. The voices of the participants rose and fell in a harmonious dance, their words weaving a tapestry of devotion and hope. Each chant was a prayer sent forth, each movement a symbolic act of reverence. The priests and priestesses led the ceremony with solemn grace, their actions guided by centuries of tradition and spiritual wisdom. The sacrifice, whether it was the pouring of wine or the offering of a young lamb, was performed with deep respect. There was no rush, no haste. Every gesture was deliberate, a testament to the seriousness with which the act was approached. The flames of the fire, often used in these rituals, danced and crackled, their light casting a warm glow over the proceedings. The smoke that rose was seen as carrying the prayers of the people to the gods, a tangible link between the earthly and the divine. As the ritual reached its climax, there was often a moment of silence, where the weight of the act was felt deeply. The people stood together, united in their shared purpose, their hearts resonating with the significance of what had just taken place. It was a moment of profound connection, where the boundaries between the human and the divine seemed to blur, leaving an indelible mark on all who participated. The aftermath of the ritual was filled with a quiet sense of fulfillment. The offerings, once presented, were often shared among the community, symbolizing the blessings of the gods and the unity of the people. The sense of togetherness was palpable, as the act of giving had forged a stronger bond among those who had participated. The shared meal was a celebration of the connection between the divine and the human, a reminder of the grace and favor that had been sought and received. In the quiet moments following the ritual, there was a deep sense of peace. The participants would often take time to reflect on the significance of what they had experienced. The air was still, and the echoes of the chants lingered, a reminder of the sacred nature of the act. Each person carried with them a sense of having touched something greater, a feeling of having connected with the divine in a way that was both deeply personal and universally shared. The rituals of sacrifice and offerings were not just acts of devotion, they were profound expressions of faith and hope. They were moments where the human spirit reached out to the divine, seeking connection, guidance, and blessing. The acts performed were filled with meaning, every gesture and offering a reflection of the worshippers' deepest emotions and their unwavering respect for the gods they honored. The air was electric with excitement as the festival days approached, a time when the entire community came alive with anticipation and joy. Each festival marked a special moment in the religious calendar, transforming ordinary days into extraordinary celebrations filled with color, music, and sacred rituals. As the sun rose on the festival day, the streets were adorned with vibrant banners and garlands. The scent of freshly baked bread, spiced meats, and sweet pastries wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and lively music. Every corner seemed to pulse with energy, reflecting the collective spirit of the people who had come together to honor their gods and celebrate their shared traditions. At the heart of these festivals was a profound sense of unity and devotion. Families gathered from near and far, their faces bright with joy as they reunited with loved ones. The celebrations were more than just social gatherings, they were deeply spiritual occasions, where the divine was honored through elaborate rituals and heartfelt offerings. The rituals performed were not merely ceremonial but were infused with the community's deepest hopes and prayers. One of the most cherished festivals was the Harvest Festival, a time when the community gave thanks for the bountiful crops and the blessings of the earth. The fields, recently harvested, were decorated with sheaves of grain and colorful ribbons. As the festival began, people danced around the harvest altar, their movements joyful and rhythmic. The sound of laughter and music filled the air, creating a vibrant tapestry of celebration. Offerings of the first fruits and grains were placed on the altar, each item a symbol of gratitude for the earth's generosity. The festival was a time of feasting and joy, but also of reflection on the importance of living in harmony with nature. Another festival that held deep significance was the winter solstice celebration, a time of renewal and hope. As the longest night of the year approached, the community gathered to mark the return of the sun. Homes and temples were adorned with lights and candles, creating a warm glow that countered the darkness outside. The rituals performed during the solstice were filled with symbolism, celebrating the victory of light over darkness. Families shared special meals and exchanged gifts, their faces lit with the warmth of the season. The solstice was a time to honor the sun deity, who was believed to bring light and life back to the world. The sense of anticipation and joy was palpable as the community celebrated the promise of brighter days ahead. The festival of the spring equinox was another moment of profound significance. As the earth awakened from its winter slumber, people gathered to celebrate the balance of day and night. The rituals performed during this festival were filled with hope and renewal, marking the beginning of a new cycle of growth. Flowers were offered at the temples, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming blossoms. The community came together to honor the fertility deities, seeking their blessings for a fruitful year ahead. The festival was a celebration of life and renewal, a reminder of the endless cycle of growth and transformation that governed the natural world. Each festival was a tapestry of traditions and customs, woven with threads of devotion and joy. The ceremonies were performed with great care and reverence, reflecting the deep connection between the people and their gods. The festivals were not just occasions for celebration, they were moments of profound spiritual significance, where the divine was honored through acts of devotion and gratitude. As the festivals came to a close, the sense of unity and joy lingered long after the last song had been sung and the final dance had been danced. The community carried with them the warmth of the celebrations and the blessings of the gods, their hearts filled with a renewed sense of hope and connection. The festivals were a reminder of the enduring bond between the mortal and the divine, a celebration of the shared traditions that bound the community together in faith and joy. In the quiet moments before dawn, when the world was still cloaked in darkness, the sound of footsteps could be heard moving deliberately through the sacred spaces of ancient villages. These footsteps belonged to the priests, shamans, and ritual leaders, individuals who carried the profound responsibility of connecting the earthly realm with the divine. The priests walked with an air of calm authority, their robes flowing like a gentle river as they made their way to the temple. Their presence was a beacon of hope and stability for the people, embodying the deep connection between the human world and the divine. With every step, they carried the weight of their sacred duty, their hearts filled with a sense of purpose and reverence. These religious leaders were not merely figures of authority, they were the living link between the gods and the community. In their hands, they held the power to perform rituals that could bring blessings or avert disaster. Their role was to guide the people through moments of joy and sorrow, to offer prayers and sacrifices that honored the gods and sought their favor. Each ritual they performed was a thread in the intricate tapestry of spiritual life, woven with care and devotion. The shamans, on the other hand, moved with a different kind of grace. They were the bridge between the physical world and the spiritual realm, their actions steeped in mystery and tradition. Draped in garments adorned with symbols of their sacred art, they performed ceremonies that reached beyond the visible world, seeking to commune with spirits and deities in their unseen realms. Their role was often solitary, but their impact was profound, guiding their people with visions and insights that came from the divine. In the quiet of their sacred spaces, shamans would enter into trances, their bodies swaying and voices chanting in ancient rhythms. They were believed to traverse the boundaries of the earthly realm, communicating with spirits and bringing back messages of guidance and wisdom. The people revered these moments, knowing that the shaman's connection with the divine was a source of great power and insight. Their visions were seen as glimpses into the mysteries of existence, and their words carried the weight of deep spiritual truths. Ritual leaders, whether priests or shamans, were central to the festivals and holy days that punctuated the religious calendar. Their role was to orchestrate the ceremonies that marked these sacred times, ensuring that each act of worship was performed with the utmost respect and precision. The festivals were not just celebrations, they were profound moments of spiritual connection, where the community gathered to honor their gods and seek their blessings. During these festivals, the ritual leaders took on a special significance. Their guidance shaped the structure of the ceremonies, their words and actions setting the tone for the entire event. As the people gathered to offer their thanks and seek divine favor, the leaders stood at the center, their presence a reminder of the sacred nature of the occasion. The rituals they performed were a blend of tradition and personal devotion, each movement and chant a reflection of their deep connection with the divine. The significance of these leaders was not confined to formal rituals. In daily life, they were sources of wisdom and comfort, offering counsel and support to those in need. The people turned to them for guidance in matters of both spiritual and practical concern, knowing that their insight was grounded in a deep understanding of the divine. The leader's role extended beyond the temple and the ritual space, touching every aspect of the community's life with their spiritual presence. The relationship between the religious leaders and their communities was one of profound mutual respect. The leaders were seen as intermediaries who carried the collective hopes and fears of their people to the gods. In turn, the community supported and honored their leaders, recognizing the sacrifices they made and the dedication they brought to their sacred roles. As night fell and the stars began to shimmer in the sky, the sacred spaces would often be illuminated by the soft glow of lanterns and candles. The leaders would gather for their final prayers, their voices rising in quiet chants that carried the hopes of the people to the heavens. In these moments, there was a deep sense of peace and connection, a reminder of the divine presence that watched over them. The role of priests, shamans, and ritual leaders was not just a position of power, but one of profound responsibility and service. Their lives were dedicated to guiding their communities through the sacred and the everyday, their actions reflecting a deep commitment to the divine and to their people. Their legacy was etched in the rituals they performed, the wisdom they shared, and the hearts they touched with their devotion and care. In the quiet spaces of ancient temples and the intricate designs of sacred artifacts, there existed a language older than words, a language of symbols. Each mark and shape carried profound meaning, bridging the human experience with the divine. As the flicker of candlelight danced across the stone walls, the sacred symbols stood as silent witnesses to the deep spiritual truths they represented. The spiral was one of the most evocative symbols in these ancient societies. Its simple yet powerful form seemed to breathe with life. To those who gazed upon it, the spiral was more than just a shape, it was a symbol of the eternal cycle of life and the journey of the soul. Each turn of the spiral spoke of growth and transformation, a reminder that existence was a continuous path of evolution and rebirth. It mirrored the seasons, the cycle of the moon, and the unending flow of time, whispering to the heart that life, in all its forms, was an endless dance of change. Circles held their own special significance, embodying the concept of wholeness and unity. They represented the universe in its entirety, the idea that all things were connected in an infinite, harmonious dance. To the ancient peoples, a circle was a perfect form with no beginning and no end. It symbolized the cosmos, the unbroken bond between the heavens and the earth, and the eternal nature of the divine. The circle's endless continuity reminded them of the unending cycles of life, death, and rebirth, and the interconnectedness of all things. Among the symbols etched into sacred objects, the triangle was another powerful motif. With its 3 points, it represented balance and harmony. In many cultures, the triangle was seen as a symbol of the divine trinity, a representation of the threefold nature of existence: earth, sky, and water, birth, life, and death, or the mind, body, and spirit. Each angle of the triangle pointed to a different aspect of life, creating a sense of equilibrium and completeness. It was a reminder of the divine order that underpinned the universe, a symbol of stability amidst the chaos of the human experience. The swastika, often misunderstood in later contexts, was a symbol of auspiciousness and good fortune in ancient times. Its distinctive shape, with arms bent at right angles, was seen as a sign of prosperity and protection. For those who revered it, the swastika represented the movement of the sun, the cycles of seasons, and the eternal flow of energy that sustained life. Its presence in rituals and art was a testament to its deep connection with the divine forces that governed the natural world. Another significant symbol was the double-headed axe, known as the labris. This ancient emblem spoke of power and duality, embodying both the masculine and feminine aspects of the divine. The labris was a tool of both creation and destruction, reflecting the balance necessary for the cycle of life. It was a symbol of the goddess, representing her ability to wield the forces of nature with both grace and strength. The labris reminded the people of the dual nature of existence, where light and darkness, creation and destruction, were intertwined. Symbols like these were not just decorative, they were deeply embedded in the spiritual practices and everyday lives of the ancient peoples. They were used in rituals, carved into sacred spaces, and worn as amulets. Each symbol was a touchstone, a visual representation of the sacred truths that guided their lives. They spoke to the heart in ways that words could not, carrying messages of hope, balance, and unity. As the ancient world turned and the stars wheeled across the night sky, these symbols continued to serve as reminders of the profound mysteries of existence. They offered comfort in times of hardship, guidance in moments of uncertainty, and a sense of connection to the divine forces that shaped their world. Each spiral, circle, and triangle was a link in a vast chain of spiritual meaning, anchoring the ancient peoples to the timeless rhythms of the universe and the eternal dance of the divine. In the dim glow of flickering torchlight, ancient artifacts come to life with a profound sense of reverence. Each artifact, carefully crafted and imbued with purpose, holds stories of devotion, belief, and the sacred connections between the divine and the earthly. These objects, from tools to idols, served as conduits between the people and their gods, embodying the essence of their religious practices and the deep-seated hope that their spiritual efforts would be met with favor. Among these sacred items, the idols stand out as powerful symbols of divine presence. Each idol was not just a representation but a living embodiment of the deity it honored. Crafted with meticulous care, these figures were often adorned with intricate details that conveyed their divine attributes. As worshippers approached these idols, they did not merely see stone or wood, they saw a manifestation of the divine, a vessel through which they could offer their prayers and seek guidance. The eyes of the idols, carved with such intensity, seemed to gaze back, offering a sense of connection that transcended the material. Tools used in religious rites also carried deep significance. These were not ordinary implements but sacred objects imbued with divine power. Ritual knives, ceremonial staffs, and sacred bowls were crafted with precision and care. Each tool had its own purpose and was often used in specific ceremonies designed to honor the gods, invoke blessings, or ensure a good harvest. The careful craftsmanship of these tools reflected the respect and dedication of the people towards their gods. Every carve and etch told a story of their devotion, their hopes, and their belief in the power of the rituals. Sacred objects like amulets and charms were worn close to the body, a constant reminder of divine protection and favor. These small but powerful items were crafted from various materials, stone, metal, or clay, and were often engraved with symbols or inscriptions meant to ward off evil or bring good fortune. Each amulet was a personal connection to the divine, a small but mighty artifact that offered comfort and assurance in times of uncertainty. The significance of these artifacts was not just in their material value, but in their role as mediators between the human and the divine. Each object was imbued with the prayers and intentions of those who created and used them. They were seen as physical manifestations of the spiritual world, offering a tangible link to the divine. When a ritual was performed, the tools and objects used were considered sacred vessels through which the divine was invoked and honored. As you stand among these ancient relics, a profound sense of connection is felt. The weight of a ritual knife in your hand, the cool touch of a carved idol, or the warm, reassuring presence of an amulet creates an unspoken bond. These artifacts, worn with use and time, carry the echoes of ancient voices, whispering the hopes and dreams of a people long gone but never forgotten. Each artifact tells a story of faith and devotion, of lives intertwined with the sacred and the divine. In every artifact, there is a heartbeat of history, a silent testament to the beliefs that shaped the world of those who came before. These objects are more than mere remnants of the past. They are the living, breathing essence of an ancient faith, forever etched in the fabric of time. Imagine walking through an ancient temple, where every wall is alive with vibrant depictions of gods. The air is thick with a sense of reverence as you take in the intricate carvings and vivid paintings that seem almost to breathe with the divine essence of the deities they portray. These artworks, timeless in their beauty, capture not just the appearance of gods, but their very essence, emotions, and stories. Each carving, each painting, is more than just a representation, it's a window into the spiritual world of the people who created it. As you gaze upon these images, you can almost feel the pulse of the ancient heartbeats that once worshipped these figures. The gods are not just seen but felt through the artistry that brings them to life. Their eyes, often rendered with a piercing gaze, seem to follow you, holding within them the wisdom of ages. In these depictions, gods are shown with attributes that symbolize their powers and roles. A deity associated with the sky might be illustrated with a cloak of stars, their hands raised as if to command the heavens. A god of the sea might be depicted with a flowing, aquatic mane, waves curling around them in a dance of eternal motion. These symbols are not just decorative, they convey the divine characteristics that make each god unique and powerful. The emotions captured in these artworks tell stories of human connection to the divine. You can see the fierce strength in the lines of a warrior god, the serene peace in the face of a goddess of wisdom, and the nurturing warmth in the depiction of a mother goddess. Each image is crafted with such care that it seems to hold the very spirit of the deity. The artist's skill in capturing these aspects allows the viewer to experience a fleeting moment of the divine presence, creating a bond that transcends time. These images are not just religious icons, they are a testament to the culture's reverence and devotion. Through their art, ancient people expressed their deepest beliefs and their understanding of the divine. Each carving and painting was created with the intention of honoring the gods, ensuring their blessings, and keeping their stories alive for future generations. As you walk among these sacred depictions, there is a profound sense of connection to the past. The artistry invites you to see the world as the ancients did, through the lens of their gods and their beliefs. Each stroke of the chisel, each brush of paint, captures a piece of the divine and makes it tangible, allowing you to touch the eternal through the physical. These artistic representations are more than just relics, they are alive with the divine spirit of the gods they depict. They bridge the gap between the mortal and the divine, offering a glimpse into a world where gods walk among men, their stories and powers immortalized in art. Every detail, from the expression on a god's face to the symbols they bear, speaks of a deep and abiding connection between humanity and the divine. Picture an ancient land where the echoes of forgotten deities still whisper through the winds. As you wander through this mystical landscape, you begin to sense the shadows of gods long past, their presence shaping the mythology that would come after them. The gods of the Pre-Proto-Indo-European world didn't simply vanish, they laid the groundwork for the gods that would emerge in later Proto-Indo-European beliefs, their influence woven into the very fabric of emerging mythologies. The early gods of these ancient societies were not just figures of worship, but were the very essence of life and the forces that shaped the world. These deities embodied the primal elements of existence: earth, sky, water, and fire, and their stories reflected the deep connection between the natural world and the divine. As Proto-Indo-European peoples began to develop their own religious frameworks, they carried with them these sacred echoes from their predecessors. The transformation of these early gods into the gods of Proto-Indo-European mythology was not a simple process of change, but a profound evolution. The sky gods of pre-Proto-Indo-European societies, powerful and commanding, evolved into the great gods of thunder and storms in later myths. Their mighty presence continued to command reverence and awe, now embodying new aspects of power and authority. Similarly, the earth deities, who were once seen as the nurturing mothers of fertility and growth, became central figures in Proto-Indo-European mythology. These deities, who had been revered as the very embodiment of the land's fertility, took on new roles as goddesses of agriculture and harvest, their nurturing aspects still evident but now intertwined with the complexities of agricultural society. The transition from the pre-Proto-Indo-European gods to their Proto-Indo-European counterparts also saw the evolution of cosmic symbols. The ancient world tree, a symbol of the connection between heaven and earth, became even more central in Proto-Indo-European mythologies. This mighty tree, once a symbol of the cosmos structure, now represented the axis around which the universe revolved, holding up the sky and connecting all realms. As you trace the lineage of these gods, you see their attributes and stories preserved, transformed, and elaborated upon. The deities of the underworld and death, for instance, evolved from ancient figures who were believed to govern the afterlife into more complex and nuanced gods in Proto-Indo-European myths. They became rulers of the underworld realms, embodying the mystery and finality of death, but still holding onto the ancient concept of guiding souls in their journey after life. The influence of pre-Proto-Indo-European gods on the later Proto-Indo-European pantheon is also evident in the continued importance of sacred symbols and rituals. The symbols that once held deep meaning in early religious practices, spirals representing eternity, circles symbolizing the cycle of life, were carried forward, their meanings expanded and deepened. These symbols continue to play a crucial role in religious rituals, connecting the past with the present in a sacred dance that spanned centuries. The Proto-Indo-European myths and rituals were built upon a rich tapestry of earlier beliefs, where the old gods and their stories were not forgotten but were reimagined and integrated into new frameworks. The continuity of these divine figures ensured that the essence of the ancient deities lived on, their influence felt in the myths that would shape future generations. As you look closer, you can almost feel the threads of connection between these ancient deities and their Proto-Indo-European successors. The gods of old did not fade away but became the very foundation upon which new myths were built. Their legacy is a testament to the enduring power of belief and the way in which ancient voices continue to echo through the corridors of time, shaping the mythology of those who came after. In the quiet corners of history, where ancient whispers meet the echoes of time, some stories refuse to be forgotten. These myths and legends, born from the heart of early civilizations, have a way of slipping through the cracks of time, only to reappear in the myths of later cultures. They linger like shadows on the walls of our collective memory, whispering tales of gods, heroes, and mysteries that have captivated hearts for millennia. One such myth that clings to our past is the story of the Great Flood. This tale, with its sweeping waves and devastating waters, transcends borders and time periods. It starts with early pre-Proto-Indo-European peoples, where the flood was a symbol of divine retribution or cosmic renewal. This story, born from ancient fears and awe of nature's power, found its way into the sacred texts of later Indo-European societies. The flood, once a story of gods reshaping the world, became a foundational myth for cultures that spoke of divine promises and second chances. The heroic journeys of gods and mortals also made their way through the ages, evolving but never losing their core essence. In the oldest myths, gods wrestled with chaos and darkness, carving out a world for humans. These tales of struggle and triumph over adversity would shape the epic stories of later Indo-European heroes. The tales of divine battles, once rooted in the primal forces of nature, would later become the grand epics of heroes who faced monsters and quests. The essence of these ancient legends, their raw struggle against the forces of darkness, survived and became a cornerstone of storytelling. The concept of the world tree, a sacred symbol that connected the heavens, earth, and underworld, also traveled through time. In the earliest myths, this tree was a symbol of cosmic order and the connection between different realms. As centuries passed, this symbol adapted but remained central to the mythology of later Indo-European traditions. It evolved from a symbol of divine structure to a focal point in epic tales and rituals. The tree's roots, branches, and leaves continue to represent the sacred connection between the divine and the mortal world. In the realm of gods, the divine figures of the early myths often appeared in later traditions, though they were transformed. The thunder gods, who once roared across the skies with primal fury, became central figures in later myths. Their thunderous voices and lightning bolts morphed into the powerful deities who commanded the storms and maintained order among the gods. These divine figures, while altered in form and function, carried the echoes of their ancient predecessors, linking past and present through their legendary deeds. The myths of creation, too, journeyed through the ages. In their earliest forms, these myths were tales of how the world came to be, woven from the fabric of chaos and divine will. As these stories were passed down through generations, they took on new shapes but retained their core messages. The creation myths of later Indo-European traditions carried the ancient echoes of divine craft and cosmic struggle, blending them with new elements and characters. These myths, though evolved, continued to explore the same fundamental questions about existence and the origins of life. The tales of the afterlife and underworld, once steeped in ancient fears and hopes, also survived through the ages. The early beliefs about the journey of souls and the realm of the dead transformed into the more structured mythologies of later Indo-European cultures. While the details changed, the core idea, that of a journey beyond life and the existence of an otherworldly realm, remained a powerful part of the narrative. These stories of death and the afterlife carried the weight of ancient beliefs into new religious and cultural contexts. In every corner of these ancient myths and legends, there is a sense of continuity and connection. The stories that began in the mists of prehistory found their way into the tapestry of later cultures, evolving yet remaining deeply rooted in their origins. Each tale that has survived through the ages is a testament to the enduring power of storytelling and the way our ancestors' voices continue to speak through the myths and legends they passed down. The echoes of these ancient stories, now part of our collective heritage, remind us of the timeless nature of human imagination and the deep connections we share with those who walked before us. In the shadowy corridors of ancient history, where myth and reality intertwine, there are echoes of stories that stretch across vast distances and time. As we look closer at the deities of the pre-Proto-Indo-European world, we can hear the faint but unmistakable reverberations of these myths in the sacred tales of other ancient cultures. These echoes connect different civilizations in a profound and almost mystical way. Think of the great thunder gods of ancient myths, gods who wielded lightning and storm with a fierce hand. In pre-Proto-Indo-European lore, such gods might have ruled the skies with unbridled power. Their counterparts appear in many ancient cultures, showing striking similarities. The storm god of the Mesopotamians, Enlil, commanded the heavens with similar thunderous authority. Both figures embody the raw, elemental force of nature, illustrating a universal reverence for the power of storms and their role in maintaining cosmic order. The resonance between these deities reveals a shared understanding of nature's awe-inspiring power, a power that was both feared and revered. In another thread of mythology, we encounter the figure of the world tree, a cosmic axis connecting heavens, earth, and the underworld. The pre-Proto-Indo-European version of this sacred tree can be seen mirrored in the Yggdrasil of Norse myth. This great tree stood at the center of existence, its branches stretching into the heavens and its roots delving into the underworld. Similarly, the ancient Egyptians spoke of the sacred sycamore tree that connected the divine with the earthly. These parallels hint at a common human yearning to connect the earthly with the divine, a yearning that transcends individual cultures and taps into a shared cosmic consciousness. The creation myths that tell of the world emerging from chaos are another example. In pre-Proto-Indo-European traditions, these stories might speak of gods shaping the world from an initial state of disorder. We find similar themes in the ancient Hindu scriptures, where the universe is born from the primordial ocean, a chaotic abyss. The Babylonian creation epic, the Enuma Elish, tells of the world being formed from the carcass of a defeated chaos monster. These stories, though varying in detail, share the fundamental narrative of creation emerging from a primordial void, reflecting a deep and universal fascination with the origins of the world. The afterlife and underworld figures offer another poignant parallel. In early pre-Proto-Indo-European beliefs, the underworld was a shadowy place where souls journeyed after death. This idea resonates in the Egyptian myths of Osiris, who ruled the realm of the dead, and the Greek Hades, who presided over the afterlife. These figures often represented both fear and hope, fear of the unknown and hope for continuity beyond death. The consistent themes of judgment, punishment, and reward across cultures highlight a shared human concern with the fate of the soul, a concern that transcends cultural boundaries. Then there are the fertility goddesses, whose nurturing presence was crucial to agricultural societies. In the pre-Proto-Indo-European world, goddesses of fertility were central to ensuring bountiful harvests and prosperous communities. This archetype is mirrored in the myths of Demeter from Greek mythology, who controlled the fertility of the earth, and in the Canaanite goddess Asherah, who was also associated with the nurturing of life and growth. The presence of these deities in various cultures underscores a universal recognition of the divine role in sustaining life and ensuring the cycle of growth and harvest. Animal deities and totemism weave another fascinating thread. In pre-Proto-Indo-European belief, certain animals were revered as sacred or symbolic, representing various aspects of life and nature. The Egyptian pantheon, with deities like Anubis, who had the head of a jackal, and the Hindu gods with their animal forms, show a similar veneration. The widespread use of animal symbols and the attribution of divine characteristics to animals reflect a shared human instinct to connect with nature and see the divine in its myriad forms. These parallels do more than show similarities, they reveal a shared human experience. They highlight a universal quest to understand the forces of nature, the origins of the world, and the mysteries of life and death. The stories from different cultures, though unique in their specifics, echo common themes of reverence, power, and mystery. They speak to the way ancient peoples everywhere looked to the heavens and the earth, the visible and the invisible, to find meaning and connection. Each culture, with its unique flavor, contributed to a broader, shared tapestry of myth and belief, intertwining the spiritual and the earthly in ways that still resonate deeply with us today. In the quiet murmur of ancient winds and the flickering shadows of forgotten fires, the transition from pre-Proto-Indo-European to Proto-Indo-European religious practices whispers a tale of enduring devotion and subtle transformation. As the sun rose and set over these ancient peoples, their spiritual life evolved, yet the core of their worship remained a deeply rooted reflection of their most primal fears, hopes, and connections to the world around them. Picture a scene from thousands of years ago, a community gathered around a sacred fire, its warmth a comforting presence against the chill of the night. The gods they worshipped were not distant figures but intimate, living forces interwoven with every aspect of their lives. These early worshippers honored deities that governed the sky, earth, and waters, their rituals a tapestry of songs and offerings meant to secure favor and protection. As the pre-Proto-Indo-European era drew to a close, the seeds of Proto-Indo-European religious practices began to sprout, nurtured by the same fundamental spiritual yearnings but blossoming into new forms. Imagine the world tree, a symbol so central to the old beliefs. In the pre-Proto-Indo-European tradition, this tree was more than a mere symbol, it was a living axis connecting the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. It represented stability and continuity, a divine bridge holding the cosmos together. As the Proto-Indo-Europeans emerged, this symbolism deepened and expanded. The world tree evolved into a more complex and nuanced figure, integrating with new deities and mythological elements. Yet, its essence remained the same, a symbol of unity and connection, reflecting the enduring spiritual needs of the people. The gods of thunder and sky, with their awe-inspiring presence, also carried forward from one era to the next. The storm gods of the pre-Proto-Indo-Europeans roared across the heavens with might and fury. As time passed, these gods transformed but did not vanish. They became more defined, their stories more detailed, but their essence, the powerful, uncontrollable force of the storm, remained intact. This continuity reflects a deep-seated reverence for natural forces that transcended specific deities and rituals. In the sacred circles of life and death, the transition is equally compelling. The underworld gods and goddesses, who once ruled over the afterlife with a shroud of mystery and fear, continued to hold sway. Their roles became more structured in Proto-Indo-European belief systems, yet the underlying concept of an afterlife and the journey of souls remained a shared thread. The reverence for these deities underscored a universal human concern with mortality and the continuity of the soul, bridging the old and new worlds with a shared belief in what lies beyond. Fertility and agriculture, the lifeblood of early societies, also show a fascinating evolution. In the pre-Proto-Indo-European world, fertility goddesses were central, their worship a vital part of ensuring bountiful crops and healthy livestock. As Proto-Indo-European practices took shape, these goddesses retained their importance but were incorporated into a more elaborate pantheon. The rituals evolved, becoming more formalized and integrated into the broader religious practices, yet the essential connection to the land and its productivity remained unchanged. Animal deities and totemic symbols, which once represented the sacred connection between humans and the animal world, continued to hold significance. The Proto-Indo-Europeans inherited and transformed these symbols, weaving them into new mythologies and religious practices. The reverence for certain animals persisted, now expressed through more complex rituals and a broader pantheon, yet the fundamental respect for the animal world remained a constant thread. Sacred sites and rituals also reflect this continuity. Early sacred spaces, such as natural groves or sacred mountains, laid the groundwork for later, more structured temples and shrines. The Proto-Indo-Europeans expanded these spaces, creating grand temples and complex rituals, yet the core idea of sacred spaces dedicated to divine worship remained. The transformation from simple natural worship to more formal religious practices mirrored the growth and sophistication of the Proto-Indo-European societies while maintaining the essence of their spiritual connection. Rituals of sacrifice and offerings, too, show a path of evolution. In the pre-Proto-Indo-European world, these rituals were often direct and personal, aimed at appeasing the gods and ensuring favor. As Proto-Indo-European practices developed, these rituals became more elaborate and codified, reflecting a growing complexity in religious life. Despite these changes, the underlying purpose of these offerings, to honor and connect with the divine, remained a constant, illustrating the enduring nature of human devotion. The festivals and holy days, celebrating the cycles of nature and the divine, also transitioned smoothly from one era to the next. The Proto-Indo-Europeans built on the festivals of their ancestors, expanding them into more structured celebrations, but keeping the essence of honoring the gods and the cycles of nature. These festivals, rooted in ancient practices, continued to celebrate the rhythms of life and the divine presence in everyday existence. As the Proto-Indo-Europeans crafted their new religious practices, they carried with them the spiritual essence of their pre-Proto-Indo-European forebears. This continuity is a testament to the enduring nature of human belief and the way ancient peoples sought to understand and honor the divine through changing times and evolving societies. The echoes of old gods, sacred symbols, and rituals flowed into the new, weaving a rich tapestry of belief that connected generations across time. In the quiet shadows of ancient history, where whispers of old gods still linger, the impact of pre-Proto-Indo-European deities continues to echo through the corridors of time. Their influence, like a gentle current beneath the surface of a vast ocean, flows through the veins of later religious traditions, shaping and transforming them in ways that still resonate today. Think of a time long past, where people gazed up at the stars and felt the earth beneath their feet with reverent awe. They worshipped gods who were not distant figures but intimate forces that guided their lives. These deities, deeply connected to nature and human experience, left an indelible mark on the spiritual landscape that followed. One of the most profound legacies of these ancient gods lies in their symbols and archetypes. The gods of the sky, with their mighty thunder and lightning, were not merely figures of awe, they became the prototypes for later storm gods across various cultures. Their stories evolved, but the essence of their power and majesty remained. Every rumble of thunder and flash of lightning, in the eyes of those who came later, still carried the weight of these ancient divine forces. The mighty Thor of Norse mythology and Zeus of ancient Greece, with their thunderbolts and storms, are echoes of a much older reverence, a whisper of the same power that once commanded awe from the Pre-Proto-Indo-European peoples. Similarly, the earth and fertility deities from this early period left a deep imprint on subsequent traditions. These goddesses, who were once seen as the very embodiment of the fertile earth and the cycles of life, continued to inspire and shape later pantheons. They became the prototypes for goddesses of agriculture and fertility in many cultures. Demeter in Greece, Ceres in Rome, and even the various earth mother figures in later Indo-European traditions all carry the legacy of those ancient goddesses. They symbolize the nurturing, life-giving force that was so central to early spiritual beliefs, connecting the past with the present in a profound and lasting way. The animal deities and totemic symbols of the Pre-Proto-Indo-Europeans also show their enduring legacy. The reverence for animals as sacred symbols did not vanish, instead, it transformed and adapted. These symbols lived on in the mythologies of later cultures, where animals often carried divine or mystical significance. In India, for instance, deities like Ganesha, with his elephant head, and Hanuman, the monkey god, reflect a continuity of the animal symbolism that began in those early beliefs. The sacred bond between humans and animals, which was so central to the Pre-Proto-Indo-European worldview, found new expressions in these later religious traditions. Sacred sites and rituals also bear the mark of these ancient beliefs. The simple, natural places of worship that the Pre-Proto-Indo-Europeans cherished became the foundations for more elaborate temples and sacred spaces in later cultures. These sites, once humble groves or sacred stones, evolved into grand structures, yet they retained the sacred essence of their origins. The reverence for these spaces, as places where the divine met the earthly, continued to shape religious practices, reflecting an unbroken line of spiritual devotion from ancient times to the present. The gods of death and the underworld, too, carried their legacy forward. The ancient beliefs about the afterlife and the journey of souls found new expressions in later mythologies. The solemn, often feared gods of the underworld in Pre-Proto-Indo-European traditions became the basis for more complex afterlife beliefs in later cultures. Hades in Greece and Yama in India carry forward the ancient themes of death and the afterlife, each carrying a piece of the profound respect and fear that characterized earlier beliefs. Even in the realm of wisdom and knowledge, the ancient gods left a mark. The early deities associated with magic and wisdom became the archetypes for later gods of wisdom and learning. Figures like Athena in Greece and Odin in Norse mythology, with their deep connections to wisdom and knowledge, are shadows of the earlier gods who first embodied these qualities. Their stories reflect a continuity of reverence for the divine sources of wisdom, a legacy that stretches back to the earliest days of human spirituality. The impact of these early deities on later religious traditions is like a thread woven through the fabric of human history. Their influence can be seen in the way myths evolved, how symbols transformed, and how rituals were adapted. Each deity, each symbol, carries with it the weight of a long history, a history that binds the past with the present in a seamless tapestry of belief and reverence. In the end, the legacy of the Pre-Proto-Indo-European gods is not just a historical curiosity but a living testament to the enduring nature of human spirituality. Their influence, felt in the myths and symbols of later traditions, reminds us of the deep and unbroken connection between ancient and modern beliefs, a connection that continues to shape and inspire the spiritual life of humanity. Imagine standing in a sunlit field, surrounded by the echoes of a long-lost faith. The whispers of ancient chants linger in the wind, and the ghosts of rituals past seem to dance in the shadows. The challenge of reconstructing the Pre-Proto-Indo-European religion is like trying to piece together a faded tapestry from fragments scattered across time. Every thread we find, every clue we uncover, is part of a grand design that has been lost to the ages. The journey to reconstruct this ancient faith is fraught with difficulties. Much of what we know about these early beliefs comes from indirect sources, myths and rituals of later Indo-European cultures that evolved from these ancient roots. It's like trying to understand the original melody of a song by listening to its many covers. The further we go back, the more fragmented the evidence becomes, and the harder it is to hear the original tune. Archaeological evidence offers glimpses into the past, but it is often incomplete. Ancient artifacts, symbols, and remains of sacred sites provide clues, but they are like pieces of a puzzle with many missing parts. The sacred spaces, once alive with the energy of worship and ritual, are now silent and weathered, their secrets buried beneath layers of earth. Each discovery, while valuable, is only a fragment of the whole picture. Linguistic studies offer another window into the past. By comparing the languages that descended from the Pre-Proto-Indo-European tongue, scholars attempt to reconstruct ancient beliefs through the evolution of words and symbols. Yet, this method too has its limits. Words evolve, meanings shift, and the divine concepts of one age may be obscured by the language of another. It's like trying to understand a poem from an ancient manuscript with missing pages. Comparative mythology also provides insights. By studying the myths of later Indo-European cultures, scholars seek to trace the threads of ancient beliefs that persisted through time. Yet, myths often evolve, intertwine, and transform, making it difficult to separate the ancient from the more recent. Each myth carries the weight of centuries, shaped by countless hands and minds. This makes it challenging to untangle the pure essence of the early faith from the layers of later interpretations. The emotional and spiritual significance of these ancient beliefs adds another layer of complexity. Understanding the heart of a religion that connected people with their world in such profound ways requires more than just academic study. It demands empathy, an attempt to feel the sacred rhythms and connections that shaped their lives. This is no easy task. It involves not just understanding what they believed, but feeling why they believed it and how it intertwined with their everyday existence. Moreover, the biases of later cultures and the shifting tides of history have obscured much of the original faith. The early beliefs were absorbed and transformed by new religions and cultures, leaving only traces of their once powerful presence. As these ancient deities and rituals were woven into the fabric of new traditions, their original forms were often distorted or lost. This makes it challenging to distinguish the true essence of the Pre-Proto-Indo-European religion from its evolved forms. Despite these challenges, the pursuit of reconstructing this ancient faith is driven by a deep sense of curiosity and reverence. Each breakthrough, no matter how small, offers a glimpse into a world long gone but still alive in our collective memory. The symbols, myths, and rituals that survive offer a connection to a distant past, a reminder of the continuity of human spirituality and the ways in which our ancestors sought to understand their place in the cosmos. In the end, the effort to reconstruct the Pre-Proto-Indo-European religion is not just an academic endeavor but a quest to reconnect with the spiritual heritage of humanity. It's a journey that honors the past while acknowledging the limitations of our knowledge. Each piece of evidence, each fragment of understanding, is a step toward honoring the sacred mysteries that once bound people to their gods and to each other. In the quiet moments of reflection, as we piece together the fragments of this ancient faith, we are reminded of the enduring power of belief and the timeless search for meaning that unites us with our distant ancestors.